Introduction. Before we begin, I want to ask you something that may be uncomfortable to answer. Not out loud, not for anyone else, just for yourself. If someone met you today, without knowing your dreams, your potential, your past, or the person you hope to become, would they be meeting the real you? Or would they be meeting a version shaped by fear, routine, disappointment, and years of trying to fit into expectations that were never truly yours? Take a moment with that question, because your answer has more power than you may realize. Most people spend their lives believing that change begins somewhere outside of themselves. They wait for more money, a better opportunity, the perfect relationship, a new city, a different job, or the right moment. They tell themselves that when life finally changes, they will change too. But what if they've been waiting for the wrong thing all along? What if the life you've been searching for has been waiting for a different version of you? Think about that. Not a different address, not a different bank account, not a different set of circumstances, a different identity. That idea is both unsettling and liberating, because if your current identity created your current life, then your future cannot be built by continuing to think, react, and decide in exactly the same way. A new destination cannot be reached by walking the same path. And yet, this is exactly what most people try to do. They set ambitious goals while protecting familiar habits. They dream of confidence while rehearsing self-doubt. They want extraordinary lives while clinging to ordinary routines. They search for transformation without ever questioning the person doing the searching. Then they wonder why nothing changes. Perhaps you experienced this yourself. You promised that this year would be different. You bought the notebook. You wrote down your goals. You imagined the future with excitement. For a few days, maybe even a few weeks, everything felt possible. You woke up early. You exercised. You read. You planned. You believed. Then life became busy. Old habits quietly returned. One missed day became two. Two became a week. Eventually, the excitement faded, and life slipped back into what was familiar. Not because you lacked intelligence, not because you lacked potential, but because your identity quietly pulled you back to what it already believed was normal. Identity is remarkably powerful. It is the invisible script running beneath every decision you make. Long before you act, your identity has already influenced what feels comfortable, what feels possible, and what feels believable. It whispers in moments so subtle that you rarely notice it. This isn't really who I am. I've never been disciplined. I'm just not confident. People like me don't do things like that. The frightening part isn't that these thoughts appear. The frightening part is how quickly we accept them as truth. Over time, repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become habits. Habits become identity. And identity becomes destiny. Not because destiny is fixed, because we keep making decisions that confirm who we already believe ourselves to be. Imagine carrying around an old map. Every road on it leads to places you've already visited. Every direction points toward the familiar. Now imagine insisting that the same map will somehow guide you somewhere entirely new. It can't. The problem isn't your effort. It's your map. Many people spend years trying to walk faster. Very few stop to ask whether they're following the wrong directions altogether. This audiobook is an invitation to do exactly that. Not to walk faster, not to work harder, but to question the map you've been using your entire life. Because somewhere along the way, you inherited ideas that were never meant to define you. Maybe someone convinced you that success belonged to other people. Maybe failure embarrassed you so deeply that you decided it was safer never to try again. Maybe criticism taught you to stay invisible. Maybe rejection convinced you that your voice didn't matter. Maybe one painful season quietly became your permanent identity. You stopped saying, "I experienced failure." You started saying, "I'm a failure." You stopped saying, "I feel afraid." You started saying, "I'm just an anxious person." You stopped describing temporary experiences. You began describing yourself. That is how identities are built, not in dramatic moments, in quiet repetition. One story, repeated often enough, until it feels like reality. But here's something worth remembering. Children are not born believing they aren't enough. They are not born believing their dreams are unrealistic. They are not born believing they should apologize for taking up space. Those ideas are learned. which means they can also be unlearned. Perhaps the person you've been trying so hard to improve was never the real you in the first place. Perhaps you've been polishing a mask while neglecting the person beneath it. Imagine wearing the same heavy coat every day for so many years that you forget you're wearing it. Eventually, it stops feeling heavy. It simply feels normal. Then one day, someone gently points to the coat and asks, "What would happen if you took it off?" At first, the idea feels impossible, then uncomfortable, then frightening, because even painful identities become familiar, and familiarity has a way of disguising itself as safety. People often remain in lives they have outgrown simply because those lives are predictable. Predictable disappointment, predictable stress, predictable regret, predictable excuses. At least they know what tomorrow will look like. The unknown feels dangerous. Yet every meaningful transformation begins by stepping into uncertainty. Not because uncertainty guarantees success, but because certainty guarantees staying exactly where you are. This is why most people never truly transform. It isn't because change is impossible. It's because familiarity quietly negotiates with their potential. It says, "Stay here. You've made it this far. Maybe next month. Now isn't the right time." And one day, those whispers become decades. Life doesn't usually drift apart in dramatic collapses. It fades through repetition. One postponed conversation, one abandoned dream, one excuse, one compromise, one comfortable decision after another, until a person wakes up wondering where all the years went. Autopilot rarely announces itself. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels ordinary. You wake up. You check your phone before your feet touch the floor. You scroll. You rush. You react instead of choosing. You repeat yesterday's thoughts. You replay yesterday's worries. You carry yesterday's identity into today. Then tomorrow arrives looking almost identical. Weeks become months. Months become years. Eventually, you stop noticing that you've been living the same day in different disguises. The frightening thing about autopilot isn't that it keeps you busy. It's that it convinces you you're moving while quietly keeping you in the same place. You can spend years climbing a ladder, only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. But every once in a while, something interrupts the pattern. A question, a failure, a loss, a book, a conversation. A quiet moment when you suddenly realize you can no longer pretend that the life you're living matches the life you're capable of creating. Maybe this audiobook is that moment for you. Not because it contains magical words. Not because change happens while listening. Change happens when a new decision replaces an old identity. That decision is simple, not easy, simple. The decision to stop introducing yourself to the future as the person you've always been. The decision to stop defending habits that no longer deserve your loyalty. The decision to release stories that have expired. The decision to believe that your past can inform you without imprisoning you. Everything that follows in this audiobook grows from that single choice. Not motivation. Motivation is fleeting, not excitement. Excitement rises and falls, not inspiration. Even the most inspiring words eventually fade. What remains is identity. Because once you genuinely see yourself differently, your choices begin to change naturally. Discipline becomes an expression of who you are instead of a battle you constantly fight. Courage becomes a habit rather than a rare event. Growth becomes your default instead of your exception. The remarkable thing is that no one else can make this decision for you. Not your family, not your friends, not your circumstances, not even these words. Only you, only this moment. History rarely announces when it changes. It changes quietly. One decision, one thought, one moment when someone refuses to remain who they have always been. Perhaps this is one of those moments. Perhaps years from now, you'll look back on this day, not because everything changed overnight, but because this was a day you stopped negotiating with the life you truly wanted. Because before any great transformation begins, before confidence replaces fear, before discipline replaces excuses, before purpose replaces confusion, something invisible must happen first. You must recognize the prison you've been living in, not a prison made of walls, but one built from assumptions, habits, beliefs, and stories you repeated for so long that they've begun to sound like your own voice. That prison is difficult to escape because most people never realize they're inside it, and that is where our journey begins. Part 1. The Death of Your Old Identity. Chapter 1. The Prison You Cannot See. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up inside a prison. The walls are thick. The doors are locked. The windows are too high to see through. You spend years trying to escape, pushing against steel bars, searching for hidden exits, hoping that one day someone will hand you the key. Now imagine discovering that the prison was never made of concrete. There were no walls, no bars, no locked doors. The prison existed only inside your mind. That realization is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it means the prison has been with you everywhere you've ever gone. Liberating because if your mind built it, your mind can dismantle it. This is a prison almost every human being lives inside. Most people never see it. That's why they never escape it. They believe they're limited by circumstances when, in reality, they're being guided by invisible beliefs they've carried for years. These beliefs don't announce themselves. They don't introduce themselves as lies. They quietly become part of the background of your thinking until they feel like undeniable facts. I'll never be successful. I'm not disciplined. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not smart enough. I'm not attractive enough. I always quit. I've always been this way. Read those sentences again. Notice something. None of them describe reality. They describe identity. And identity is simply a collection of beliefs repeated until they feel permanent. Think back to when you were born. You entered this world without opinions about yourself. You didn't believe you were confident. You didn't believe you were shy. You didn't believe you were worthy or unworthy. You simply existed, curious, fearless, open. Somewhere along the journey, that changed. Little by little, the world began writing stories onto your mind. A teacher praised one student and ignored another. A parent reacted with anger instead of patience. Friends laughed when you spoke. Someone told you that success wasn't for people like you. Perhaps no one ever said those exact words. Sometimes the loudest lessons are never spoken. A child who is constantly interrupted learns that their voice doesn't matter. A child who is only praised for achievement learns that love must be earned. A child who grows up surrounded by fear often mistakes anxiety for normal life. Years later, these experiences become invisible beliefs, not because they're true, because they've been rehearsed thousands of times. The human brain is extraordinary. Its primary purpose isn't happiness. It isn't success. Its first responsibility is survival. To accomplish that, your brain creates shortcuts. Instead of analyzing every situation from the beginning, it builds patterns. Patterns save energy. Patterns help you react quickly. Patterns become habits. The problem is that the brain doesn't distinguish very well between habits that help you and habits that limit you. If avoiding challenges protected you from embarrassment once, your brain remembers. If staying quiet prevented criticism, your brain remembers. If playing small kept you accepted by others, your brain remembers. Eventually, protection becomes programming. Without realizing it, you begin living according to rules you never consciously chose. This is emotional programming. Every powerful emotional experience leaves behind more than a memory. It leaves behind an expectation. If you experience repeated rejection, your mind begins expecting rejection. If you experience repeated criticism, your mind starts scanning every room for judgment. If failure embarrasses you deeply, your nervous system may begin avoiding situations where failure is possible. You think you're making rational decisions. In reality, your emotions are making decisions before your conscious mind even joins the conversation. Imagine touching a hot stove as a child. The pain teaches your brain something important. Don't touch the stove again. That lesson protects you. But emotional experiences work differently. Sometimes your mind treats harmless situations as dangerous simply because they resemble painful memories. A presentation at work feels threatening because years ago you were laughed at in a classroom. Starting a business feels dangerous because your family always struggled financially. Expressing your opinion feels risky because you once learned that disagreement led to conflict. Your present isn't always reacting to reality. Sometimes it's reacting to history. This is why two people can face the exact same opportunity and experience it completely differently. One sees possibility. The other sees danger. The opportunity didn't change. Their programming did. Now, we arrive at one of the most powerful forces shaping your life. The identity loop. It works so quietly that most people never notice it. A belief creates a thought. The thought influences a decision. The decision produces an action. The action creates a result. The result strengthens the original belief. Then the cycle begins again. Imagine someone who secretly believes they aren't capable of success. When an opportunity appears, doubt whispers, "You'll probably fail." Because of that thought, they hesitate. Their hesitation leads to half-hearted effort. Half-hearted effort produces disappointing results. Those results become proof. See? I knew I couldn't do it. Except they never tested their true potential. They only confirmed the belief they started with. This is how invisible prisons maintain themselves. Not through force, through repetition. The same thing happens with confidence. Someone believes they can learn. They take action despite uncertainty. Small wins begin to appear. Those wins reinforce confidence. Confidence leads to greater action. Greater action creates greater results. Again, the loop strengthens itself. Your life today is largely the product of loops you've been repeating for years. Some serve you, many do not. The most dangerous part of the identity loop is that it feels like reality. You stop saying, "I have limiting beliefs." Instead, you say, "This is just who I am." Those 6 words have imprisoned more dreams than failure ever has. Because once you believe something is who you are, you stop questioning it. You stop experimenting. You stop growing. You stop imagining another possibility. But here's the truth that changes everything. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your past experiences. You are not the labels you've collected. You are the awareness capable of observing all of them. And anything you can observe, you can change. Think about the sky. Clouds move through it every day. Some are bright. Some are dark. Some bring storms. Others disappear within minutes. Yet the sky itself remains unchanged. Your mind is similar. Thoughts drift through it. Beliefs drift through it. Fear drifts through it. But somewhere beneath all of that noise exists a quiet observer, the part of you capable of noticing without becoming what it notices. That observer is where freedom begins. The prison weakens the moment you recognize it, because awareness interrupts autopilot. The moment you hear yourself say, "I'm just not disciplined," you can pause and ask, is that an objective fact or a story I've repeated for years? When you think, "I've always been this way," ask, "Always," or simply "until now?" Questions like these crack the walls of the invisible prison, not all at once, brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. Transformation never begins with changing your entire life in one dramatic moment. It begins with seeing clearly, because you cannot escape a prison you cannot see. But once you recognize the walls, once you understand how they were built, once you realize the key has been in your hands, all along, everything changes. This chapter was never about convincing you that you're trapped. It was about helping you see that the prison is not your permanent home. It is simply an old structure built from outdated beliefs. Structures can be dismantled. Stories can be rewritten. Identities can evolve. And in the next chapter, you will discover the greatest deception those invisible walls have ever convinced you to believe, the lies you've accepted as truth, and the hidden cost they've had on your life. The prison is now visible. The escape has begun. Chapter 2, The Lies You've Been Living. There is a sentence so common, so ordinary, that most people say it without ever realizing the damage it causes. You probably said it yourself. Perhaps you've even whispered it today. "This is just who I am." At first, it sounds harmless. It sounds honest, even humble. But hidden inside those 6 words is one of the most dangerous lies a person can ever believe. Because the moment you declare that something is simply who you are, you stop questioning it. You stop challenging it. You stop imagining that another version of yourself could exist. You mistake a chapter for the entire story. Imagine meeting someone who has lived in the same small town their entire life. They've never traveled, never seen the ocean, never climbed a mountain, never experienced another culture. One day they confidently announce, "The world isn't very big." Would you believe them? Of course not. Not because they're unintelligent, because their experience is limited. Yet people do something remarkably similar with themselves. They experience one version of who they have been, then assume that's all they can ever become. They confuse familiarity with permanence. But your personality is not a prison sentence. Your habits are not permanent. Your fears are not your identity. Most of what you call yourself is simply a collection of repeated behaviors. And behaviors can change. Think back to your childhood. You are not the same person who learned to walk. You're not the same person who entered school for the first time. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. Your body has changed. Your knowledge has changed. Your relationships have changed. Even your cells have renewed themselves countless times. Change is the most natural thing about you. Yet somehow you've been convinced that your identity is fixed. That contradiction deserves attention. Because if everything about you has been changing your entire life, why do you believe your future cannot? The answer lies in the stories you tell yourself. Every person carries an invisible narrator. It speaks quietly throughout the day. I'm terrible with money. I'm always late. I'm bad at relationships. I'm just an anxious person. I'm not disciplined. I'm not creative. I'm not a leader. Each statement feels like an observation. In reality, it's an instruction. Your brain listens. Your behavior follows. Your results confirm the story. And soon the story feels like evidence. This is why language matters more than most people realize. The words you repeat become the blueprint your mind follows. Imagine planting a seed every morning. If the seed is, "I never finish what I start," your mind begins searching for proof. Eventually, it finds it, not because the statement was true, because your attention was trained to notice anything that confirmed it. Now imagine replacing that seed. "I'm becoming someone who finishes what they begin." Notice the difference. One sentence locks the future. The other leaves room for growth. One declares, the other develops. Identity should never be a cage. It should be a direction. Unfortunately, many people never discover this because they become trapped in something even more destructive: victim thinking. Now, let's be clear. There is a difference between experiencing hardship and building an identity around it. Life is unfair. Some people begin with opportunities others never receive. Some experience heartbreak, betrayal, illness, poverty, discrimination, or unimaginable loss. Acknowledging reality is not weakness. Pretending those experiences never happened isn't strength. But allowing painful experiences to become the definition of who you are, that is where suffering begins to multiply. Victim thinking isn't simply believing bad things have happened. It's believing they permanently determine what is possible from this moment forward. It's quietly surrendering your future to your past. It sounds like this: "Nothing ever works out for me. People always let me down. Why even try? Someone like me can never succeed." These thoughts don't just describe the past. They predict the future. And the mind works tirelessly to make those predictions come true. Imagine carrying a pair of dark glasses everywhere you go. Eventually, every sunrise appears dull. Every landscape seems gray. Not because the world lacks color, because you're viewing it through the wrong lens. Victim thinking works exactly the same way. It filters every opportunity through disappointment before you've even experienced it. It whispers, "Don't get your hopes up. You'll probably fail. Protect yourself. Stay where it's safe." It promises safety, but what it actually delivers is stagnation. One of the greatest tragedies in life is that people often become loyal to the very stories that keep them trapped. Why? Because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. Imagine spending years carrying a heavy backpack. At first it's exhausting. Then you adjust. Eventually you forget it's even there. Now imagine someone offers to remove it. Oddly enough, many people hesitate. The weight has become familiar. Without it, they no longer know who they are. This is exactly what happens with limiting identities. People become attached to them, not because they're enjoyable, because they're predictable. And the human mind often prefers predictable discomfort over uncertain growth. But growth has always demanded uncertainty. Every child learning to walk falls. Every musician plays wrong notes. Every entrepreneur makes mistakes. Every confident speaker was once terrified. Progress has never required perfection. It has always required permission to be a beginner. Yet false limitations convince you otherwise. False limitations are invisible fences. Imagine placing a baby elephant on a chain attached to a small wooden stake. At first, it pulls with all its strength. It struggles. It fights. Eventually, it gives up. Years pass. The elephant grows into one of the strongest animals on Earth, strong enough to uproot entire trees. Yet it remains tied to the same tiny stake. Not because the stake is stronger, because the belief is. Many people lived exactly this way. Years ago, one failure convinced them they weren't capable. One rejection convinced them they weren't lovable. One criticism convinced them they weren't talented. One embarrassment convinced them they should stay invisible. The event ended. The belief remained. Today, they no longer need anyone to hold them back. Their own mind does it for them. The prison has become internal. Perhaps you experienced this. You wanted to speak up in a meeting, but a quiet voice reminded you of a time you were ignored. You wanted to start a business, but another voice replayed an old financial mistake. You want to pursue a dream, but fear disguised itself as logic. Now isn't the right time. Someone else could do it better. Maybe next year. These aren't objective facts. They're old beliefs wearing new clothes. The remarkable thing about the human mind is that it rarely asks whether a belief is true. It simply asks, have I repeated this often enough to believe it? If the answer is yes, the belief becomes reality until someone questions it. So let me ask you something. Who would you be if you had never been told what you couldn't become? Who would you be if failure had never embarrassed you? Who would you be if comparison had never stolen your confidence? Who would you be if fear had never introduced itself as common sense? Don't answer too quickly. Because somewhere beneath all those borrowed stories, there is still a version of you untouched by them, a version that isn't interested in excuses, a version that doesn't need permission, a version that sees possibility where your current identity sees obstacles. That version has always been there, waiting, not to be created, to be uncovered. The greatest breakthrough in your life may not come from learning something new. It may come from refusing to believe an old lie any longer. Because every extraordinary life begins with an ordinary decision. The decision to stop saying, this is just who I am, and start asking, who could I become if I stop believing that? That single question has changed more lives than certainty ever will. In the next chapter, we'll explore something even deeper. You'll discover why your past seems to hold so much power over your present, how old emotional experiences quietly shape your decisions, and why healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about refusing to let it write your future. Because the greatest chains are rarely around your wrists. They're around your memories. And it's time to break them. Chapter 3. Why your past has more power than you think. Have you ever caught yourself reacting to a situation and wondered, why did I do that? Perhaps someone offered you a compliment, and instead of accepting it, you immediately dismissed it. Maybe a small criticism stayed with you for days, while 10 compliments disappeared within minutes. Perhaps someone didn't apply to your message, and your mind instantly imagined rejection. Or maybe an opportunity appeared. And before you could even consider saying yes, a quiet voice inside whispered, don't embarrass yourself. In moments like these, it can feel as though your reactions happen automatically, because often they do, not because you lack self-control, but because your past is still speaking. The remarkable thing about the human mind is that it never experiences life as a blank page. Every moment is filtered through memories, experiences, and meanings created long before today. The present is constantly having a conversation with the past. And unless you're aware of it, the past usually wins. Many people imagine childhood as something they simply outgrow, a collection of memories tucked away in old photo albums. But childhood is much more than something that happened to you. It is where your mind learned how the world works. It is where you formed your earliest conclusions about yourself, other people, and life itself. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper. Before a single floor is added, workers spend enormous amounts of time creating the foundation. Why? Because every floor that follows depends on what was built first. Your childhood became that foundation. Long before you understood words like confidence, worth, success, or failure, your brain was quietly collecting evidence. How do people treat me? Is the world safe? What happens when I make mistakes? Do I have to earn love? Can I trust people? Is it safe to speak my mind? Every experience added another brick. Every repeated interaction strengthened the structure. No child consciously decides, I'm not enough. Instead, the conclusion is often built from small moments repeated over time. A parent too busy to listen. A teacher who constantly compared students. Friends who laughed instead of encouraged. A home where mistakes were met with anger rather than patience. These moments may seem ordinary, but to a developing mind, they become powerful lessons. Children don't simply observe the world. They absorb it. They rarely question whether the messages they're receiving are true. They assume they are, because children depend on the adults around them to explain reality. If a child repeatedly hears, "You're lazy," they may grow into an adult who believes discipline is impossible. If they hear, "You're too sensitive," they may spend decades apologizing for having emotions. If they're constantly compared to others, they may grow up believing their worth depends on outperforming everyone else. Notice something important. The words may disappear, but the conclusions remain. Years later, the adult no longer hears the parent's voice. They hear their own, and they mistake it for truth. This is childhood conditioning, not a life sentence, but a starting point. The good news is that starting points are not destinations. Still, childhood isn't the only influence. Life leaves marks long after we grow up. Some experiences heal quickly, others become emotional wounds. An emotional wound isn't simply something painful that happened. It's a painful experience that continues shaping your present long after the event has ended. Imagine cutting your hand. If treated properly, it heals. Eventually, only a small scar remains. But imagine ignoring the wound, allowing it to become infected. Every time something brushes against it, the pain returns. Emotional wounds work much the same way. The event ends, but the emotional response continues. Someone betrayed your trust. Now vulnerability feels dangerous. Someone humiliated you in front of others. Now visibility feels unsafe. Someone abandoned you. Now every goodbye feels permanent. The original moment may have lasted minutes. Its influence can last years, sometimes decades. This is why two people can experience similar situations yet respond completely differently. One sees possibility. The other sees danger. One welcomes love. The other expects disappointment. One embraces challenge. The other avoids risk. The difference isn't intelligence. It's emotional memory. Your nervous system remembers experiences even when your conscious mind rarely thinks about them. This is why certain places, voices, songs, or even smells can instantly transport you back to another time. Your mind isn't trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you. Protection is one of the brain's oldest jobs. Whenever something painful happens, your brain asks, how do I make sure this never happens again? The answer often becomes a rule. Don't trust people. Don't speak up. Don't take risks. Don't get too excited. Don't expect too much. Those rules may have helped you survive a difficult season. But survival rules don't always belong in a life you're trying to grow. Imagine wearing a heavy winter coat during a freezing storm. It protects you. It keeps you alive. But what happens if you continue wearing that same coat in the middle of summer? Something that once protected you begins to exhaust you. Many beliefs are exactly like that. They were useful once. Now, they are simply heavy. Hidden beneath these beliefs is something even more powerful. Fear, not always obvious fear. Not the fear that makes your heart race during danger. A quieter fear, the kind that disguises itself as logic. The fear of rejection. The fear of failure. The fear of success. The fear of disappointment. The fear of not being enough. The fear of being seen. The fear of being judged. Most people don't wake up saying, today I will let fear control my decisions. Fear is much more sophisticated. It speaks in reasonable voices. Wait until you're more prepared. Maybe next year. Someone else is probably better. Don't risk what you already have. It rarely sounds dramatic. It sounds practical. That's what makes it dangerous. Because hidden fear often wears a mask of wisdom. Imagine standing at the edge of a beautiful bridge, stretching toward everything you've ever wanted. Confidence, purpose, meaningful relationships, health, freedom. Your future is waiting on the other side. But just before taking the first step, an invisible voice reminds you of every time you've fallen before. Suddenly the bridge seems unsafe. Not because it is, because your memories are speaking louder than reality. Many people spend their entire lives negotiating with invisible fears they never consciously chose. Yet here's the truth. Fear isn't always a sign that you're moving in the wrong direction. Very often, it's a sign you're leaving the familiar. Every meaningful transformation feels uncomfortable at first, not because growth is dangerous, because your identity mistakes unfamiliarity for danger. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. The first few attempts felt terrifying. Your body wobbled. Your mind expected failure. But eventually, balance replaced fear. Nothing about the bicycle changed. You did. The same principle applies to every area of life. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the result of moving forward despite it. The remarkable thing about hidden fear is that it loses much of its power the moment you recognize it. Awareness interrupts old patterns. The next time you hesitate before pursuing an opportunity, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this genuine wisdom or an old wound trying to protect me? When you feel yourself shrinking, ask, am I responding to this moment or to something that happened years ago? Questions like these create space. And in that space, freedom begins. The goal isn't to erase your past. Your past contains lessons worth keeping. The goal is to stop allowing yesterday's pain to make tomorrow's decisions. Because your history deserves to be remembered. It does not deserve to become your identity. The child you once were did the best they could with what they understood. The person you are today has something that child didn't. Choice. You can choose a different story. You can choose a different response. You can choose a different future. Not by pretending your past never happened, but by refusing to let it write every chapter that follows. Your past may explain you. It does not define you. And in the next chapter, you'll discover how to loosen the grip of those old stories, release the identities built around them, and begin the courageous process of letting go of the person you no longer need to be. Because before you can become someone new, you must be willing to say goodbye to who you've been. Chapter 4. Breaking the Chains. Every prison has one thing in common. It only has power as long as the prisoner believes there is no escape. For the past 3 chapters, you've been looking at the invisible walls that have quietly shaped your life. You've seen how limiting beliefs are formed. You've discovered how childhood experiences leave emotional fingerprints on adulthood. You've uncovered the identity loop that keeps the same thoughts, habits, and results repeating year after year. Now comes the question that matters most. How do you break free? The answer may surprise you. You don't begin by changing your life. You begin by changing what you believe deserves to stay in it. Every transformation starts with subtraction before it begins with addition. Think of an artist standing before a block of marble. The masterpiece isn't created by adding more stone. It's revealed by removing everything that doesn't belong. The same is true of you. You don't become your greatest self by collecting endless advice, reading more books, or chasing constant motivation. You become that person by letting go of the beliefs that have been hiding them all along. The first chain you must break is the belief that your thoughts are facts. This may sound simple. It isn't. Most people spend their entire lives believing everything that passes through their minds. A thought appears, I'm not good enough. And instead of questioning it, they accept it. Another thought arrives, I'll probably fail. Again, they believe it. Soon, thoughts become conclusions. Conclusions become habits. Habits become identity. But ask yourself this. Have you ever believed something that later turned out to be completely wrong? Of course you have. Perhaps you misunderstood someone's intentions. Perhaps you worried endlessly about something that never happened. Perhaps you assumed you couldn't do something, only to discover later that you could. If your mind has been wrong before, why assume it is always right now? This single realization creates distance between you and your thoughts. Instead of saying, I am a failure, you begin saying, I'm having the thought that I'm a failure. That small shift changes everything. One statement becomes your identity. The other becomes something you can observe. And what you can observe, you no longer have to obey. Awareness is the first crack in every chain. Imagine standing beside a river. Leaves float past on the surface. Some are large, some are small. Some catch your attention. Others disappear without effort. Your thoughts are much like those leaves. You were never meant to jump into the river and cling to every one of them. You were meant to notice them, then let them pass. Unfortunately, most people don't watch their thoughts. They become them. One fearful idea appears, and suddenly it becomes their future. One criticism appears, and suddenly it becomes their identity. One setback appears, and suddenly it becomes proof that they'll never succeed. Freedom begins the moment you realize that not every thought deserves your agreement. But breaking chains isn't only about changing thoughts. It's also about interrupting patterns. Every habit begins with a cue. Something happens. Your brain recognizes it. Then, almost automatically, you respond. Stress appears. You procrastinate. Loneliness appears. You seek distraction. Self-doubt appears. You quit. The pattern becomes so familiar that it feels inevitable. But it isn't. Imagine walking through a forest every single day. Eventually, a path forms. The more you walk it, the clearer it becomes. Now imagine deciding to walk in a different direction. At first, there's no trail. Branches block your way. Tall grass slows your progress. It feels difficult, not because it's wrong, because it's new. Your brain works exactly the same way. Old habits are well-worn paths. New habits begin as untouched ground. This is why change often feels unnatural in the beginning. People mistakenly believe discomfort means they're failing. In reality, discomfort often means they're building a new path. The challenge is that your old identity will fight to survive, not because it's evil, because it's familiar. The mind prefers certainty over possibility. It would rather repeat yesterday than risk tomorrow. This is why you'll hear an inner voice whispering, skip today. You'll start on Monday. One time won't matter. You're too tired. Those thoughts aren't random. They're your old identity defending its territory. When they appear, don't panic. Expect them, because every meaningful transformation is a negotiation between who you've been and who you're becoming. One identity wants comfort. The other wants growth. Every decision casts a vote for one of them. This is why tiny decisions matter more than dramatic ones. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, the new identity grows stronger. Every time you choose discipline over convenience, the chains weaken. Every time you act according to the person you want to become instead of the person you've always been, you rewrite the story, one page at a time. Many people wait until they feel different before acting differently. That day rarely comes. Action creates identity far more often than identity creates action. Think about confidence. No one wakes up suddenly confident forever. Confidence grows each time you do something your old self believed was impossible. You speak despite fear. You continue despite failure. You try again despite doubt. Eventually, your mind has no choice but to update its story. Perhaps I'm stronger than I thought. That is how identities change. Not in one dramatic breakthrough, but through repeated evidence. Now we arrive at the greatest shift of all, becoming conscious. Most people spend their lives asleep with their eyes open. They wake up, reach for their phone, repeat yesterday's routine, react to the same emotions, think the same thoughts, make the same choices, go to bed, then repeat the cycle. Days become weeks, weeks become years, years become a lifetime. Not because they chose that life, because they never stopped to examine it. Conscious living begins with interruption. It is a simple but powerful act of pausing before reacting. Someone criticizes you. Pause. Fear appears. Pause. An old habit calls your name. Pause. That pause is where freedom lives. Because between what happens to you and how you respond. There is always a space. Most people never notice it. They react automatically. But the person rebuilding their identity learns to protect that space. Within it lies every possibility. Within it lies choice. Within it lies the future. Imagine driving through a city you've known for years. You reach your destination without remembering most of the journey. Why? Because your brain switched to autopilot. Life works the same way. If you're not paying attention, yesterday will quietly become tomorrow. Consciousness is waking up while you're still alive. It's asking questions most people never ask. Why do I believe this? Who taught me this? Does this belief still serve me? What kind of person am I becoming through today's choices? These questions are uncomfortable, but comfort has never transformed anyone. Awareness has. The remarkable thing about consciousness is that it doesn't require perfection. You will still make mistakes. You'll still fall into old habits. You'll still have difficult days. The difference is that now you'll notice, and every moment of awareness shortens the distance back to the person you're becoming. You are no longer asleep inside your own story. You have become the author. Remember this. The chains that held you for years were never made of steel. They were made of repeated thoughts, repeated fears, repeated choices. And just as repetition built them, repetition will break them. One conscious decision, one interrupted pattern, one challenged belief, one courageous action, again and again and again, until one morning you wake up and realize something extraordinary. The person who once believed they couldn't change no longer exists, not because they disappeared overnight, but because you quietly stopped feeding the identity that kept them alive. The chains did not break because someone rescued you. They broke because you finally realized they were never locked. The key had always been in your hands. And now that you've unlocked the prison, it is time to leave it behind. In the next part of this journey, you'll discover that freedom is only the beginning. Because once you've broken the chains of the old identity, you must learn to let go of the person who wore them. Only then can you make room for the life waiting beyond the prison walls. Part 2. Empty the Cup, Chapter 5. Let go of who you were. Imagine trying to fill a glass that is already full. You pour. The water spills over the edge. You pour more. Still, nothing new stays inside. It doesn't matter how pure the water is. The glass has no room for it. Many people approach transformation in exactly the same way. They read more books, attend more seminars, listen to more podcasts, collect more advice, yet they wonder why their lives remain unchanged. The problem isn't a lack of knowledge. The problem is that they're trying to build a new identity while still carrying the old one. You cannot become someone new if every decision is filtered through the person you've always believed yourself to be. Before you build, you must make space. Before you become, you must release. That is why this chapter is called Empty the Cup. Not because you have nothing to learn, because you have too much that no longer belongs. Imagine carrying a suitcase everywhere you go. At first, it's light. A few memories, a few disappointments, a few fears. Then, over the years, you begin adding more. A harsh comment from a teacher, a broken relationship, a failed business, a betrayal, an embarrassing mistake. Every painful experience becomes another stone inside the suitcase. Eventually, it becomes so heavy that you forget what it feels like to walk without it. The strange part is this. No one else can see the weight, but you feel it in every decision, every relationship, every opportunity, every dream you hesitate to pursue. You assume life has become harder. In reality, you've simply become accustomed to carrying unnecessary weight. The first step toward freedom is recognizing what you're still carrying, not physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. What labels have you accepted that no longer deserve a place in your life? Perhaps somewhere along the journey, someone called you lazy. Maybe you struggled with discipline for a season. Eventually, I procrastinate quietly became, I am lazy. Do you see the difference? One describes behavior. The other creates identity. Behavior can change. Identity feels permanent. Or perhaps you experience failure. Instead of saying, I failed, You began saying, "I'm a failure." Again, an event became a definition. Many of us wear labels that were never ours to begin with. Some were given to us by parents trying their best. Some by teachers who only saw a small part of us. Some by strangers whose opinions should never have carried so much weight. Others were created by our own fear after painful experiences. The question isn't whether you've been labeled. Everyone has. The question is whether you're still introducing yourself to the world using names that no longer belong to you. Imagine wearing a name tag that says, "Not good enough." Every room you enter, that's how you introduce yourself. Not with words, with your choices. You hesitate before speaking. You avoid opportunities. You settle for less than you deserve. Not because anyone forced you to, because your identity quietly expects it. Now imagine removing that name tag. Nothing about your past changes, but everything about your future can. The labels disappear the moment you stop believing they describe who you are. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood words in personal growth: forgiveness. Many people hear that word and immediately think it means pretending nothing happened. It doesn't. Others believe forgiveness excuses harmful behavior. It doesn't do that either. Forgiveness is not approval. It is release. Imagine gripping a burning piece of charcoal. The longer you hold it, the more damage it causes. You tell yourself you're holding it because someone else deserves punishment. Meanwhile, the person being burned is you. Resentment works the same way. It keeps yesterday alive inside today's heart. Holding on feels like strength. Often, it is simply prolonged suffering. Perhaps someone betrayed you. Perhaps someone abandoned you. Perhaps someone underestimated you. Perhaps life itself unfolded differently than you hoped. Those experiences matter. They shaped you, but they do not have to imprison you. Forgiveness is a decision to stop allowing yesterday's pain to control today's choices. It doesn't erase memory. It removes its authority. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive isn't someone else. It's yourself. You replay old mistakes, old failures, old regrets. You wonder what life would look like if you had made different decisions. But consider this. You are judging your younger self using the wisdom you only gained because of those experiences. The person you were years ago didn't know what you know now. They made decisions based on the awareness they had at the time. If they had possessed today's wisdom, they would have chosen differently. Can you really expect yesterday's version of yourself to possess today's understanding? Growth means extending compassion backward while moving courageously forward. Forgive yourself, not because every decision was perfect, because carrying guilt forever will never rewrite the past. It only steals the future. Now we arrive at the deepest layer of transformation: identity detachment. This may be the most important concept in the entire audiobook. Most people believe, "This is who I am." But what if that sentence is incomplete? What if a more accurate sentence would be, "This is who I've been practicing"? Think about that. Everything you call your personality has been strengthened through repetition. Your habits, your confidence, your fears, your reactions, they are familiar patterns, not permanent truths. Imagine an actor performing the same role for 20 years. Every day they wear the same costume, speak the same lines, play the same character. Eventually, audiences begin believing that character is who the actor truly is. But when the play ends, the costume comes off, the role disappears, the actor remains. For years, you've been wearing a costume called your identity. Some parts genuinely belong to you. Others were stitched together from fear, expectation, and survival. It's time to separate the costume from the person wearing it. You are not your anxiety. You are not your failures. You are not your achievements. You are not your income. You are not your reputation. You are not your worst day. You are not your greatest success. These are experiences, not essence. The moment you stop clinging to every label, you create room for possibility. Instead of saying, "I'm just an impatient person," you begin asking, "What would patience look like today?" Instead of saying, "I'm not confident," you ask, "How would a confident version of me respond?" Notice the shift. You move from defending an identity to designing one. This is where transformation becomes intentional, not accidental. The beautiful truth is that you don't have to carry every chapter of your story into the next one. Some chapters exist to teach. Others exist to end. The person who survived your hardest seasons deserves gratitude. They got you here. But they were never meant to become your permanent identity. A rocket cannot reach space while clinging to every stage that launched it. At each phase of the journey, it releases what has fulfilled its purpose. Not because those parts were failures, because they are no longer needed. Your life works the same way. The beliefs that once protected you, the habits that once comforted you, the identity that once helped you survive. Honor them, thank them, then let them go, because survival is no longer the goal. Living fully is. As this chapter comes to a close, imagine yourself standing beside a quiet river at sunrise. In your hands are all the labels you've carried for years. The fears, the regrets, the guilt, the expectations, the names others gave you. One by one, you place them into the flowing water. You don't throw away your past. You simply stop carrying it. You watch the current take them downstream until they disappear beyond the horizon. For the first time in years, your hands are empty. Your shoulders are lighter. Your breathing feels deeper. There's space now. Space for courage. Space for possibility. Space for the person you've been trying to become. Because before your life could be rebuilt, your hands had to be free. And now, they are. In the next chapter, you'll discover why true transformation never happens inside comfort, why growth always asks for something difficult in return, and why the place you've been trying so hard to avoid may be the very place where your new identity is waiting to be born. The cup is finally empty. Now it is ready to be filled. Chapter 6. Burn the comfort zone. If there is one invisible force responsible for more unrealized dreams than fear, failure, or lack of talent, it is comfort. Comfort rarely announces itself as the enemy. It arrives wearing a friendly face. It whispers, "You've worked hard today. Start tomorrow. One more hour won't matter. Stay where it's safe." It doesn't ask you to give up on your dreams. It simply asks you to postpone them again and again until postponement quietly becomes a lifestyle. That is the danger of comfort. It doesn't destroy your future in one dramatic moment. It steals it one comfortable decision at a time. Imagine standing at the edge of a beautiful forest. On one side is a smooth, familiar road. The ground is flat. The air is calm. You know exactly where it leads. You've walked it for years. There are no surprises, no challenges, no uncertainty. But there is one problem. It circles back to the place you started. The other path is different. It climbs steep hills. It disappears into thick trees. You cannot see what lies ahead. You'll sweat. You'll stumble. At times, you'll wonder whether you chose the right direction. But somewhere beyond those hills is a version of your life you've never experienced. Every meaningful dream lives beyond the second path. Yet most people continue walking in circles because familiar discomfort feels safer than unfamiliar growth. This is the great paradox of human nature. We say we want change, but we instinctively protect the habits that prevent it. The mind has one primary objective: keep you alive, not fulfilled, not extraordinary. Alive to your brain. Familiar patterns, even painful ones, feel safe because you survived them before. That's why people remain in jobs they dislike, relationships that drain them, routines that numb them, not because they enjoy them, because the unknown feels more threatening than the familiar. Imagine living your entire life inside a small room. You've memorized every corner, every crack in the walls, every sound. One day someone opens a door and invites you outside. Sunlight floods the room. Fresh air rushes in. Freedom is waiting. But instead of running toward it, you hesitate. Because even a prison can begin to feel like home if you've lived there long enough. This is exactly what happens with comfort zones. They begin as places of safety. Eventually, they become places of limitation. The tragedy is that comfort doesn't ask for permission to become permanent. It slowly expands. First, you avoid difficult conversations, then difficult decisions, then difficult opportunities. Eventually, you avoid becoming the person you were capable of being. Growth has always required one thing: discomfort, not unnecessary suffering. Purposeful discomfort, the discomfort of learning, the discomfort of honesty, the discomfort of discipline, the discomfort of change. Think back to every meaningful achievement in your life. Learning to walk wasn't comfortable. Learning to read wasn't comfortable. Building friendships wasn't comfortable. Neither was earning trust, mastering a skill, recovering from heartbreak, or overcoming failure. Everything that expanded your life first stretched your comfort. Why, then, do we expect the next chapter of our lives to require less? Imagine watching a butterfly struggle to emerge from its cocoon. Seeing its difficulty, someone decides to help. They gently cut the cocoon open. The butterfly escapes easily. It never struggles. It never strains. But something unexpected happens. It never learns to fly. The struggle it avoided was the very process that strengthened its wings. Without resistance, there was no transformation. Life often works the same way. The resistance you've been trying to eliminate may actually be preparing you for the future you've been praying for. This doesn't mean every hardship is good, nor does it mean you should seek unnecessary suffering. It means you should stop mistaking every challenge for a sign that you're on the wrong path. Sometimes difficulty isn't a warning. It's confirmation that you're growing. One of the greatest misconceptions about successful people is that they enjoy discomfort. Most don't. They simply understand something others don't. Discomfort is temporary. Regret can last a lifetime. Ask yourself this: which is more uncomfortable? Waking up early to build your future, or waking up 10 years from now wishing you had? Which is more uncomfortable? Having one difficult conversation, or carrying years of silent resentment? Which is more uncomfortable? Starting despite fear, or spending your life wondering what might have happened if you had? Pain is unavoidable. The only choice you have is which pain you'll experience: the temporary pain of growth, or the lasting pain of staying the same. This brings us to one of the most powerful ideas in personal transformation: choosing discomfort. Notice the word, choosing. Most people wait until life forces discomfort upon them. A health crisis, a financial emergency, a broken relationship, a lost opportunity. Life eventually creates discomfort for everyone. The wise choose small discomforts today so they can avoid much greater ones tomorrow. They exercise before illness demands it. They save before crisis requires it. They learn before necessity humiliates them. They apologize before resentment destroys relationships. They begin before they feel ready. Choosing discomfort means becoming the architect of your own growth, instead of waiting for life to become your teacher. Because life always teaches. The only question is whether the lesson comes through intention or through consequence. Now consider this. Imagine two blacksmiths forging identical swords. One leaves the steel untouched. The other repeatedly places it into fire. He heats it until it glows, then strikes it with a hammer. Again and again, then cools it, then returns it to the fire. To someone unfamiliar with the process, it appears cruel. Why subject the metal to such punishment? Because strength is not created by comfort. It is created by controlled hardship. Controlled hardship is different from needless suffering. It is a deliberate practice of doing difficult things because they shape the person you're becoming. Reading when distraction is easier. Training when resting feels more appealing. Saving when spending offers instant pleasure. Speaking truth when silence feels safer. Keeping promises to yourself when no one else is watching. These are not acts of punishment. They are acts of construction. Each difficult decision strengthens a part of you that comfort never could. Discipline, patience, resilience, self-respect, courage. These qualities cannot be purchased. They are earned through repetition. The remarkable thing is that controlled hardship slowly changes your relationship with discomfort itself. At first, difficult things feel unbearable, then manageable, eventually normal. The runner who once struggled to complete 1 mile begins running 5. The speaker terrified of audiences eventually enjoys the stage. The entrepreneur who feared rejection begins treating it as feedback. Nothing about the challenge changed. The person did. This is a secret. You do not become fearless. You become familiar with discomfort, and familiarity removes much of its power. There will always be moments when your old identity calls you back. It will remind you how easy it would be to quit, to delay, to settle, to return to the familiar. When that voice appears, don't argue with it. Smile, because its presence means you're leaving the comfort zone behind. Every great journey reaches a point where turning back seems easier than moving forward. That moment is not the end. It is the doorway. Walk through it. Remember this whenever discomfort visits your life. It is not asking, can you survive? It is asking, who are you becoming? Every difficult decision is shaping an answer. Every early morning, every honest conversation, every disciplined action, every promise kept, every fear faced, they are all casting votes, not merely for what you will achieve, but for who you will become. One day you'll look back and realize something extraordinary. The life you once dreamed about was built during the moments you most wanted to quit. The future version of you is not waiting inside comfort. They have never lived there. They have always been found just beyond it. And in the next chapter, we'll explore the greatest battlefield of all. Not the world around you, but the conversation constantly unfolding inside your own mind. Because before you master your habits, you must learn to master the voice that shapes them. That battle begins next. Chapter 7. Silence the inner enemy. There's a voice that has been with you every day of your life. It speaks before you open your eyes in the morning. It comments on every decision you make. It reminds you of your mistakes. It predicts your failures. It questions your worth. It celebrates your victories. It never sleeps. It never leaves. And whether you realize it or not, it is shaping your future. The most important conversation you will ever have is not with your family, not with your friends, not with your boss, not even with the people you love most. It is the conversation you have with yourself. Because long before the world tells you who you are, you've already told yourself. Imagine living with someone who constantly follows you. Every morning they say, you're not good enough. Every challenge they whisper, you'll probably fail. Every dream they laugh, who do you think you are? Every mistake they remind you, see, you always mess things up. How long would you willingly stay around someone like that? Probably not very long. Yet many people spend decades allowing that voice to live inside their own minds. The tragedy is that they no longer recognize it as criticism. They mistake it for reality. The inner enemy is dangerous because it rarely sounds cruel. It sounds familiar. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like your own voice. But here's something worth considering. Not every voice inside your mind belongs to you. Some are echoes of parents, teachers, friends, old relationships, painful experiences, past failures, society's expectations. Years ago, someone questioned your ability. Today, you call it your opinion. Someone underestimated you. Now you underestimate yourself. Someone once made you feel invisible. Now you hide before anyone has a chance to overlook you. The voice changed owners. The message remained the same. This is why becoming aware of your self-talk is one of the most important steps in transformation. You cannot change a conversation you refuse to notice. For one day, pay attention to the sentences that pass through your mind, not the loud, dramatic thoughts, the quiet ones, the automatic ones, the ones that arrive without invitation. I'm always late. I can't do that. People like me never succeed. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'll never change. Most of these thoughts have one thing in common. They are absolute. Always. Never. Everyone. No one. Absolute language creates absolute prisons. Reality is rarely that absolute. You may have been late before. That doesn't mean you are permanently a late person. You may have failed. That doesn't make you a failure. You may feel anxious. That doesn't mean anxiety owns your identity. Notice the difference. Your experiences describe moments. Your inner enemy turns them into definitions. Words matter because your brain listens. Imagine planting seeds in a garden. Every sentence you repeat is a seed. If you continually plant doubt, you shouldn't expect confidence to grow. If you continually plant excuses, discipline struggles to survive. If you continually plant possibility, eventually your actions begin growing in that direction. The question isn't whether you're speaking to yourself. You are. The question is, What are you teaching yourself every day? This brings us to mental discipline. Many people believe discipline is about forcing yourself to work harder. It's much deeper than that. True discipline begins before action. It begins with attention. Your mind is constantly asking, what deserves my focus? Whatever receives your attention becomes stronger. Think of your attention as sunlight, wherever it shines. Growth follows. If you spend every day focusing on what you lack, scarcity grows. If you focus only on your mistakes, insecurity grows. If you constantly compare yourself to others, envy grows. But if you deliberately direct your attention toward progress, gratitude, learning, possibility, those begin to grow instead. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Spend it carelessly, and someone else will decide what occupies your mind. Spend it intentionally, and you begin designing your future. Imagine trying to train a wild horse. The horse doesn't become calm overnight. It runs. It resists. It tests every boundary. The mind behaves much the same way. When you first try to guide your thoughts, you'll notice how restless they are. One moment you're focused. The next you're replaying yesterday's embarrassment, then worrying about tomorrow, then comparing yourself to someone online. Mental discipline isn't eliminating distractions. It's repeatedly returning your attention to what matters, again and again and again, without frustration. Every return strengthens your mind. Now let's talk about emotions. Many people spend their lives believing emotions control them. I'm angry, so I have to react. I'm afraid, so I shouldn't try. I'm discouraged, so I'll quit today. But emotions are like weather. Storms arrive, storms leave. No one expects the sky to remain sunny every day. Why expect that from yourself? Emotional mastery doesn't mean never feeling sadness, never feeling fear, never feeling frustration. It means refusing to hand those emotions the steering wheel of your life. Imagine driving a car. Fear sits in the passenger seat. Self-doubt sits behind you. Anxiety occasionally looks out the window. They may all come along for the ride, but none of them should be driving. Too many people stop pursuing meaningful goals because they mistakenly believe confidence must come before action. It rarely does. Often, confidence arrives after repeated action. Courage isn't waiting until fear disappears. Courage is refusing to let fear decide your direction. The strongest people aren't emotionless. They're emotionally aware. They notice anger without becoming angry. They notice fear without becoming fearful. They notice disappointment without building a home inside it. There's enormous freedom in simply saying, I notice that I'm feeling discouraged. Instead of, I am discouraged, the first creates space. The second creates identity. Never confuse temporary emotion with permanent identity. One passes, the other imprisons. Now, consider something else. Every emotion carries information. Fear may be asking you to prepare. Sadness may be asking you to heal. Frustration may be showing you where your expectations need adjusting. Emotions are messengers. Problems begin when we allow them to become rulers. Imagine receiving a letter. You read it. You learn from it. Then you place it down. You don't spend the next 10 years carrying the envelope everywhere you go. Treat emotions the same way. Listen, learn, release. There's another practice that separates extraordinary people from ordinary ones. They guard what enters their minds. They understand that thoughts don't appear in isolation. The conversations you listen to, the people you spend time with, the news you consume, the social media you scroll, the books you read, the environment you inhabit, all of them become ingredients in your inner dialogue. If you feed your mind fear every day, fear becomes fluent. If you feed it hope, hope becomes natural. Protect your mental environment the way a gardener protects fertile soil. Not everything deserves access. The remarkable thing about mastering your inner world is that the outer world begins responding differently. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, because you become stronger. Challenges remain. Criticism remains. Failure remains. But they no longer define you. They simply become experiences you move through instead of identities you carry. One day you'll notice something extraordinary. The voice that once spent every morning criticizing you has grown quieter, not because it disappeared, because another voice has become stronger, a wiser voice, a calmer voice, a voice that says, keep going. You survived difficult days before. This is part of the process. You're becoming someone your old self would hardly recognize. That voice was always within you. It was simply drowned out by years of noise. Now, it is becoming your guide. Remember this. The greatest victory you'll ever achieve is not over another person. It is over the version of yourself that believed every fearful thought deserved to be believed. When you master that battle, the world changes. Not because the world became different, because the person looking at it did. And in the next chapter, you'll discover how to win the battle that determines every future decision. The battle for your own mind, where thoughts become beliefs, beliefs become actions, and actions become the life you ultimately create. Chapter 8. Winning the battle in your head. Every great victory is won twice. First in the mind, then in reality. Long before an athlete crosses the finish line, the race has already been run thousands of times in imagination. Long before an entrepreneur builds a successful company, they have fought countless invisible battles against doubt, uncertainty, and fear. Long before an ordinary person transforms into someone extraordinary, they win a quiet war that almost no one else ever sees. The war inside their own mind. Most people believe their greatest challenges exist in the outside world. A difficult economy, unfair circumstances, competition, criticism, lack of opportunity. These obstacles are real. But there's another obstacle that quietly determines how every external challenge will be interpreted. Your thinking. Two people can lose the same job. One sees disaster. The other sees an opportunity to begin again. Two people can receive the same criticism. One hears proof they are not good enough. The other hears valuable feedback. Two people can experience failure. One gives up. The other grows stronger. The event is the same. The meaning is different. And meaning changes everything. Life is not shaped only by what happens to you. It is shaped by the story you attach to what happens. Imagine standing in front of a large window. Outside, rain is falling. One person sighs. What a miserable day. Another smiles. The flowers needed this. Neither is lying. They are simply focusing on different truths. The same principle applies to your life. Every experience contains more than one possible interpretation. Your mind chooses which one becomes your reality. This is why your thoughts matter so deeply. Not because every thought magically creates the future, but because your thoughts influence your attention. Your attention influences your decisions. Your decisions influence your actions, and your actions shape the life you eventually live. Thoughts are seeds. They do not become trees overnight, but given enough time, attention, and repetition, they grow. Imagine planting two gardens. In one, you carefully plant seeds of gratitude, courage, curiosity, patience, and possibility. In the other, you plant fear, resentment, comparison, and self-doubt. Months later, would you expect both gardens to produce the same harvest? Of course not. The mind works exactly the same way. Whatever you repeatedly cultivate eventually becomes your mental landscape. This is why guarding your thoughts is not an act of optimism. It is an act of responsibility. Notice something important. Your brain does not simply respond to reality. It constantly predicts it. Every belief you've developed teaches your mind what to expect. If you expect rejection, you'll notice signs of rejection. If you expect failure, you'll become unusually sensitive to mistakes. If you expect growth, you'll begin noticing opportunities that fear once hid from you. Expectation quietly influences perception. Perception influences behavior. Behavior influences outcomes. This is one reason two people living in the same world can experience completely different lives. Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood experiences in existence. Failure. Few words create more fear. Few experiences teach more wisdom. Imagine watching a child learn to walk. The child stands, falls, stands again, falls again. No parent watches and concludes, perhaps walking just isn't meant for this child. That would seem ridiculous. Falling is understood as part of learning. Somehow, as adults, we forget this truth. We expect ourselves to succeed immediately. If we fail, we assume we discovered our limits, instead of recognizing that we've simply begun the process. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is often one of its essential ingredients. Every inventor carries a history of unsuccessful attempts. Every accomplished artist has created forgettable work. Every confident speaker has stumbled over words. Every strong leader has made poor decisions. What separates them isn't perfection, it's interpretation. Average thinking asks, "Why did this happen to me?" Resilient thinking asks, "What is this trying to teach me?" One question creates helplessness, the other creates growth. Imagine two sculptors working with identical blocks of stone. One strikes the stone once. Nothing happens. They conclude the stone cannot be shaped. The other continues striking, patiently, carefully, hundreds of times. Eventually, a masterpiece emerges. The difference wasn't talent. It was persistence. Many people abandon their dreams after the first few strikes, not because they lack potential, because they mistake slow progress for failure. Transformation rarely arrives dramatically. It accumulates quietly. One decision, one lesson, one disciplined day after another. The remarkable thing about failure is that it reveals something success often hides: character. Success is easy to enjoy. Failure introduces you to yourself. It shows you how you respond under pressure, whether you blame or learn, whether you quit or continue, whether your identity depends on temporary results or on lasting purpose. This brings us to resilience. People often imagine resilience as extraordinary toughness. Someone who never cries, never struggles, never doubts themselves. But resilience is not emotional numbness. It is emotional flexibility. Think of a mighty oak tree during a violent storm. It stands tall, strong, rigid. Then imagine a bamboo forest nearby. The bamboo bends with the wind. It sways. It appears weaker. Yet when the storm ends, the bamboo remains standing. The oak is cracked. Strength is not always found in resistance. Sometimes it is found in adaptation. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to recover without becoming bitter, to continue without becoming defeated. Life will disappoint you. People will misunderstand you. Plans will fail. Unexpected loss will visit every life. These realities are unavoidable. What remains within your control is your response. Resilient people understand something powerful. Pain is temporary. Identity is optional. A difficult season does not become a difficult life unless you continue carrying it long after it's ended. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents an old disappointment, a broken promise, a missed opportunity, a painful memory. Every year you add another. Soon you're exhausted, not because today's journey is impossible, because you're still carrying yesterday. Resilience is learning which rocks no longer deserve space in your backpack, not because they weren't real, because they no longer help you move forward. Every setback contains two gifts. The first is a lesson. The second is the opportunity to become someone stronger than you were before it happened. Most people only notice the pain. Few notice the invitation. Now imagine your life as a book. Each chapter contains victories, mistakes, losses, moments of joy, moments of uncertainty. Would you stop reading after one difficult chapter? Of course not. Then why assume one difficult season defines your entire story? It doesn't. Not unless you decide to stop writing. Your future is not determined by the chapters you've already lived. It is determined by the pages you are willing to write next. Every morning offers a blank page. Every decision writes another sentence. Every habit writes another paragraph. Eventually, those paragraphs become your character. Your character becomes your legacy. The battle in your head is never truly about positive thinking. It is about truthful thinking. Recognizing that one failure does not make you a failure. That one rejection does not make you unworthy. That one difficult season does not erase your potential. Truth is stronger than fear. Reality is larger than your worst moment. The remarkable thing is that once you begin changing the way you think, the world doesn't immediately become easier. You become more capable of meeting it. The obstacles remain, but they no longer own you. because you discovered the greatest secret of transformation. The strongest mind is not the one that never falls. It is the one that refuses to stay down. One day, you'll look back on the battles that once seemed impossible, and you'll realize they were never sent to destroy you. They were preparing you to become someone your former self could never have imagined. You are no longer fighting your mind. You are training it. And with every disciplined thought, every reframed setback, every courageous decision, you are becoming the architect of a future that no longer resembles your past. As we move into the next part of this journey, the battle inside your mind has begun to shift. The old identity is losing its voice. The new one is beginning to speak. Now it is time to stop merely letting go of the past and begin deliberately building the person you were always capable of becoming. Part 3. Build the New You, Chapter 9. Identity before achievement. Most people have their lives backward. They believe achievement creates identity. They believe that once they become successful, they will feel confident. Once they become wealthy, they will think abundantly. Once they become fit, they will see themselves as healthy. Once they become respected, they will finally believe they are enough. So they spend years chasing external results, convinced that the next accomplishment will transform the person inside. Sometimes they achieve exactly what they wanted, yet something strange happens. The promotion comes, the business grows, the money arrives, the goal is reached, but the old insecurities remain. The fear remains, the self-doubt remains. The feeling of not being enough quietly follows them into every new level of success. Why? Because achievement can change your circumstances. It cannot automatically change your identity. Imagine building a magnificent house on a weak foundation. From the outside, everything appears impressive. Beautiful walls, elegant windows, a strong roof. But beneath the surface, the foundation is unstable. Eventually, cracks begin to appear. Not because the house wasn't beautiful, because what supported it was never strengthened. Your identity is the foundation of your life. Everything else rests upon it. Your habits, your relationships, your confidence, your finances, your health, your future. If the foundation says, "I'm not worthy of success," you'll find ways to sabotage success. If the foundation says, "I'm not disciplined," you'll struggle to maintain disciplined habits. If the foundation says, "I'm not lovable," even genuine love may feel difficult to believe. Your identity always works to remain consistent with itself. This is why people often return to old habits after making progress. The weight they lost returns. The savings disappear. The confidence fades. The momentum slows. It isn't because they lacked ability. It's because their identity quietly pulled them back toward what felt familiar. Imagine a thermostat inside a room. No matter how much you heat the room, the thermostat eventually returns the temperature to the level it's programmed for. Many people live with an internal identity thermostat. When life rises above what they believe they deserve, they unconsciously lower themselves. Not because they want to fail, because their identity feels uncomfortable living beyond its current settings. If you want lasting transformation, you must change the thermostat before expecting the temperature to remain different. This is why goals often fail. Goals are wonderful. They provide direction. They inspire movement. They clarify intention. But goals alone rarely change lives. Think about how many goals people set every January. Lose weight, read more, save money, wake up earlier, be happier. Within weeks, many abandon them. The problem isn't the goals. The problem is that goals ask for new behavior, while identity continues defending old behavior. Imagine trying to convince an actor to perform a completely different role while they refuse to change costumes, dialogue, or mindset. The performance will always feel unnatural. Your life works the same way. Temporary motivation may change your actions for a few days. Identity changes your actions for years. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" ask something far more powerful. Who must I become to achieve it? Notice the difference. One focuses on the destination. The other focuses on the traveler. Imagine you want to write a book. Many people focus only on finishing the manuscript. A different approach begins by asking, what does a writer do every day? Writers write, even when inspiration is absent, even when progress feels slow. The identity comes first. The achievement follows. Suppose you want to become healthy. Instead of obsessing over losing 20 pounds, ask, how would a healthy person make today's decisions? Would they choose movement? Would they prioritize rest? Would they nourish their body? Suddenly the focus shifts. You're no longer chasing a number. You're practicing an identity. This is how lasting change is built. One decision at a time. Every action becomes a vote. Imagine your identity as a ballot box. Each decision casts another vote. You read one chapter of a book. That's a vote for becoming a learner. You keep your promise to exercise. That's a vote for becoming disciplined. You speak honestly despite discomfort. That's a vote for becoming courageous. One vote doesn't decide an election, but thousands do. Likewise, one habit doesn't create identity. Repeated habits do. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Anyone can be motivated for one day. Transformation belongs to those who continue after motivation disappears. Many people wait until they feel like the person they want to become before acting. The truth is exactly the opposite. You become that person because you repeatedly act as they would. Confidence follows courageous action. Discipline follows disciplined choices. Leadership follows taking responsibility. Identity is built through evidence. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes proof. Every difficult decision strengthens belief. Every disciplined day whispers to your subconscious, this is who we are now. Notice something remarkable. The most powerful identities are not announced. They are demonstrated. A generous person doesn't wake up repeating, I hope I'm generous. They simply give. A reliable person doesn't constantly remind themselves to be dependable. They follow through. Their identity naturally produces their behavior. This is why becoming always comes before achieving. Achievement is a byproduct. Identity is the cause. Now consider how differently extraordinary people think. Most people ask, what do I have to do? Exceptional people ask, who do I need to become? Most people chase results. Exceptional people build systems. Most people focus on outcomes. Exceptional people focus on standards. Most people wait for inspiration. Exceptional people create routines. Their thinking begins inside before it appears outside. Imagine two gardeners. One spends every day painting dead leaves green. The other quietly nourishes the roots. From a distance, both gardens appear similar for a while. Eventually, the painted leaves fade. The nourished roots produce lasting growth. Many people spend their lives painting leaves, trying to look confident, trying to appear successful, trying to impress others. But true transformation begins beneath the surface, strengthening the roots. The roots are your identity. Everything visible grows for what remains unseen. Perhaps the greatest mistake people make is believing identity is something they discover. It isn't. It is something they deliberately create. Every morning, your choices answer one silent question. Who am I becoming? Not tomorrow. Today. The answer isn't found in your intentions. It's found in your actions. The remarkable thing is that you don't have to become extraordinary overnight. You only need to become slightly more aligned with the person you wish to become than you were yesterday. Small improvements, repeated consistently, eventually become remarkable lives. One conversation, one workout, one page, one promise, one courageous decision. Again and again and again, until the identity becomes so deeply rooted that the old version of you feels like someone you once knew. One day, people will compliment your discipline, your confidence, your resilience. They'll assume you were born that way. Only you will remember the truth. None of it happened by accident. It was built, quietly, patiently, one vote at a time. Remember this. Goals may give you direction, but identity gives you endurance. Goals tell you where you're going. Identity determines whether you'll stay long enough to arrive. The person who becomes the right individual rarely has to chase success forever. Success eventually begins chasing them, because they have become someone capable of sustaining it. In the next chapter, you will discover the daily habits that quietly build extraordinary lives, why small actions matter far more than dramatic efforts, and how the routines you repeat every day are shaping the person you'll become years from now. Because identity begins a journey. Habits make it permanent. Chapter 10. The Habits That Build Giants. Imagine watching two people begin the same journey. They are the same age. They possess similar talent. They have access to the same opportunities. Neither has an obvious advantage. On the first day, there's almost no visible difference between them. One decides to read 10 pages each morning. The other scrolls through social media. One chooses a 30-minute walk. The other chooses another 30 minutes on the couch. One writes down tomorrow's priorities before going to sleep. The other promises to figure out in the morning. The differences seem insignificant, almost invisible. A week passes. Nothing remarkable happens. A month passes. Still, the gap appears small. But after 5 years, one is transformed. The other wonders why life never changed. This is the extraordinary power of habits. Success is rarely created by one spectacular decision. It is built by thousands of ordinary ones. Most people spend their lives waiting for a breakthrough, a life-changing opportunity, a lucky moment, a dramatic transformation. But life rarely changes that way. It changes quietly, one morning at a time. Think of a river flowing through solid rock. The water is soft. The stone is hard. If you watch for a single day, you would see almost nothing happen. But return after 100 years. The rock has been carved into an entirely different landscape. The river did not succeed because it was powerful. It succeeded because it was persistent. Habits possess the same quiet strength. They shape your future not through intensity, but through repetition. This is why the smallest habits often produce the greatest results. Many people underestimate tiny actions because they judge them in isolation. One healthy meal doesn't transform a body. One workout doesn't create strength. One page doesn't write a book. One kind conversation doesn't build lasting trust. Yet neither does one unhealthy meal destroy your health. One missed workout doesn't ruin your fitness. One lazy afternoon doesn't define your future. Life is rarely determined by single moments. It is determined by repeated patterns. The question isn't, what did you do today? The question is, what are you doing repeatedly? Because repetition becomes identity. Now, let's explore one of the most powerful concepts in personal transformation: keystone habits. Imagine an enormous arch made from hundreds of stones. At the very center sits one stone holding the entire structure together. Remove that single stone, the entire arch collapses. That stone is called the keystone. Your life contains habits just like that. Certain habits quietly improve many other areas without you even trying. Wake up consistently, and your mornings become calmer. Exercise regularly, and your energy improves. Your confidence grows. Your discipline strengthens. You begin making healthier choices almost automatically. Read every day, and your thinking expands. Your conversations deepen. Your decisions become wiser. One habit influences another. This is the hidden power of keystone habits. They create momentum. Most people try to change everything at once. They redesign their entire lives on Monday morning. Wake up at 5. Exercise. Meditate. Read. Journal. Eat perfectly. Learn a language. Start a business. By Friday, they're exhausted. Real transformation doesn't require changing everything. It requires changing the right thing first. Imagine pushing the first domino in a line of thousands. The first domino weighs only a few ounces, yet one small movement eventually topples every domino behind it. Your keystone habits are those first dominoes. Choose them wisely. Now, let's talk about systems. Most people are obsessed with goals. Goals are exciting. They give direction. But systems determine whether those goals become reality. Imagine two musicians. One dreams of performing in front of thousands. The other practices every single day. Who is more likely to succeed? The answer seems obvious. Dreams inspire. Systems produce. Think of farmer. A farmer cannot command crops to grow. Instead, they prepare the soil, plant the seeds, water consistently, protect the field. The harvest arrives because the system was faithful, not because the farmer wished hard enough. Your life works exactly the same way. Stop asking only, how do I achieve my goal? Start asking, what daily system would make success almost inevitable? If you want to become healthier, create a system. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Prepare healthy meals in advance. Schedule movement into your calendar. Reduce friction. Make good decisions easier than bad ones. If you want to read more, keep a book where you normally reach for your phone. If you want to write, leave your notebook open on your desk. Design your environment so your future self doesn't have to rely on willpower. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are dependable. Imagine climbing a mountain. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it's sunny. Some days it's cold. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you want to quit. If your progress depends only on motivation, you'll climb only when the weather feels perfect. Systems allow you to keep climbing regardless of conditions. This is why extraordinary people appear so disciplined. They're not relying on inspiration every morning. They built routines that make action automatic. Eventually, discipline becomes less about forcing yourself and more about following the path you've already prepared. Now, consider the most underrated quality in all of personal growth: consistency. People admire intensity. The entrepreneur working 18-hour days. The athlete pushing through unbearable workouts. The artist creating through the night. But intensity is difficult to sustain. Consistency quietly outperforms intensity over the long run. Imagine saving $1 every day. It seems insignificant. Yet after years, the habit matters far more than one enormous deposit made only once. Success compounds. So do habits. The challenge is that habits often produce invisible results at first. This is where many people quit. Imagine planting a bamboo seed. You water it every day. Weeks pass. Nothing appears. Months pass. Still nothing. A year passes. The ground remains unchanged. Most people would stop watering. But beneath the surface, roots are spreading. Then one day, the bamboo suddenly grows several feet in just weeks. Did the growth happen overnight? No, it had been developing invisibly all along. Your habits work the same way. You may not notice the difference after 1 week, perhaps not even after 1 month, but beneath the surface, your identity is changing. Your character is strengthening. Your future is quietly taking shape. Never confuse invisible progress with no progress. The roots always grow before the tree. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they have failed because they cannot yet see results. But nature never rushes. Neither should you. Every day you repeat the right habits. You cast another vote for the person you're becoming. Every healthy meal says, I value my body. Every page read says, I value growth. Every promise kept says, I can trust myself. These votes accumulate, not dramatically, quietly, until one day your life begins reflecting what you practiced for years. Remember this: you will not rise to the level of your ambitions. You will fall to the level of your systems. When life becomes difficult, goals become distant, motivation disappears, emotions fluctuate, but habits remain. Your routines become your rescue. Your systems become your strength. Your consistency becomes your advantage. And eventually, people begin calling you disciplined, successful, resilient. What they don't see are the thousands of ordinary days that created those extraordinary results. They see the harvest. They never witnessed the planting. The giants you admire were not built by giant moments. They were built by ordinary habits repeated with extraordinary consistency. One sunrise, one decision, one promise, one habit, again and again and again, until greatness no longer felt extraordinary. It simply became who they were. As we continue this journey, you'll soon discover the force that keeps those habits alive long after excitement fades. The quiet power that separates people who merely start from those who never stop. That force is discipline, and it changes everything. Chapter 11. Discipline is freedom. There is one word that makes many people uncomfortable: discipline. For some, it sounds restrictive, rigid, demanding, like a life without joy, a life of endless sacrifice. But What if everything you've been taught about discipline is backwards? What if discipline isn't the enemy of freedom, but its greatest source? Imagine two people. The first lives entirely by emotion. They wake up and ask, "What do I feel like doing today?" If they feel motivated, they work. If they don't, they wait. If they feel inspired, they exercise. If they don't, they stay in bed. If they feel confident, they chase opportunities. If fear arrives, they retreat. Their emotions become their schedule. Now imagine the second person. They also experience doubt. They also feel tired. They also lose motivation. But every morning, they ask a different question. What needs to be done? Then they do it. Not because they always enjoy it, because they decided their future deserves more authority than their feelings. Years later, the difference between these two people becomes impossible to ignore. The first remains trapped in cycles of starting and stopping. The second quietly builds a life that appears effortless from the outside. The difference isn't talent. It isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. It is discipline. Most people misunderstand motivation. They treat it as if it were a dependable companion. But motivation is more like the weather. Some mornings it shines brightly. Other mornings it disappears behind heavy clouds. If your actions depend entirely on motivation, your progress will always be unpredictable. Think about how many times you felt inspired. Perhaps after reading a powerful book, watching an unforgettable movie, listening to an encouraging speech. For a moment, everything feels possible. You promise yourself, this time will be different. You begin with excitement. You work harder. You wake earlier. You stay focused. Then ordinary life returns. Work becomes stressful. Energy declines. Unexpected problems appear. The excitement fades. And with it, the habit disappears. The goal wasn't destroyed by difficulty. It was abandoned when motivation left the room. This is why motivation is a wonderful visitor, but a terrible leader. Motivation can introduce you to a dream. Only discipline can carry you there. Imagine building a bridge across a deep canyon. Would you trust a bridge that appears only on days when it feels inspired? Of course not. A bridge must remain strong regardless of weather. Your habits deserve the same consistency. Discipline means becoming someone your future can rely on, even when your present emotions disagree. The remarkable thing is that discipline becomes easier the more often you practice it, not because the work changes, because you change. At first, discipline feels like effort. Eventually, it becomes identity. Think about brushing your teeth. You probably don't negotiate with yourself every morning. You don't wait until you're inspired. You simply do it. The habit has become part of who you are. Imagine if discipline toward your goals became just as automatic. No internal debate. No endless procrastination. No emotional bargaining. Just action. Again and again and again. This is a hidden power of disciplined living. It removes unnecessary decisions. And every decision you no longer waste energy making becomes energy available for something greater. Now let's talk about compounding. People often associate compounding with money. Invest a small amount consistently. Wait long enough. The results become extraordinary. Discipline follows the same law. Every disciplined decision seems small in isolation. One workout, one chapter, one healthy meal, one honest conversation, one promise kept. Individually, they appear insignificant. Together, they reshape an entire life. Imagine placing one brick every single day. At first, it seems meaningless. Visitors would wonder what you're doing. Weeks pass, still only a small wall. Months pass, a foundation begins to appear. Years later, there stands a magnificent home. No single brick created it. Consistency did. Your future is being built exactly the same way. One disciplined action at a time. Most people underestimate today's decisions because today's consequences are usually invisible. Skip one workout. Nothing dramatic happens. Ignore one opportunity. Life continues. Delay one difficult conversation. Tomorrow still arrives, but repeat it enough times. Small compromises become major consequences. The opposite is equally true. One disciplined action rarely changes your life. Thousands of them inevitably will. Discipline compounds. quietly, patiently, powerfully. Now, consider something most people never realize. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen something far more valuable than productivity. You strengthen trust. Imagine having a friend who constantly breaks promises. They say they'll arrive at 6. They come at 8. They promise to help. They disappear. Eventually, you stop believing them. Now imagine that friend is you. How many promises have you made to yourself? I'll start Monday. Tomorrow I'll wake up early. This is the last time. Next month will be different. Each broken promise quietly teaches your subconscious one painful lesson. My word cannot be trusted. This is why self-respect matters so deeply. Self-respect isn't created by positive affirmations. It is earned through evidence. Every time you honor your own commitments, you send yourself a message. I matter. My future matters. My word has value. Confidence grows from this. Not because you convince yourself you're capable, because you repeatedly demonstrated it. Imagine looking into a mirror. Each promise you keep polishes a reflection. Each promise you break clouds it. Eventually, the image staring back at you reflects the relationship you built with yourself. This is why discipline is an act of self-love, not punishment, not deprivation. Respect. You exercise because your future body deserves care. You save money because your future family deserves security. You study because your future opportunities deserve preparation. You sleep well because your future mind deserves clarity. Discipline is simply love extended into the future. Many people think freedom means doing whatever they want whenever they want. But look closely. The person controlled by every craving isn't free. The person controlled by every distraction isn't free. The person unable to say no isn't free. Real freedom belongs to the person who can choose, who can delay gratification, who can remain calm while others panic, who can continue while others quit. That is freedom. Imagine a ship crossing the ocean. Without a rudder, it drifts wherever the wind decides. With a steady hand guiding it, storms still come, waves still rise, but the destination remains unchanged. Discipline is the rudder of your life. It doesn't remove storms. It keeps you moving through them. There will be mornings when discipline feels difficult, days when excuses sound convincing, moments when quitting appears reasonable. Remember this. The person you are becoming is watching every decision you make. Every time you choose discipline, you introduce yourself to that future version. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you delay the meeting. One day you'll wake up and realize something extraordinary. The habits that once required effort now happen naturally. The discipline that once felt restrictive now feels liberating. The life that once seemed impossible now feels normal. Because discipline has quietly transformed not only your actions, but your identity. You no longer need someone else to hold you accountable. You have become accountable to yourself. And there is no greater freedom than becoming someone you can completely trust. As this chapter comes to a close, remember one simple truth. Motivation may start the journey. Discipline ensures you finish it. Motivation visits. Discipline stays. Motivation inspires. Discipline transforms. Motivation changes your mood. Discipline changes your life. And perhaps the greatest reward of discipline is not success itself. It is becoming the kind of person who knows, without question, that when you give yourself your word, you keep it. In the next chapter, you will discover the extraordinary power hidden within your own mind, how to protect your focus in a world designed to distract you, and why mastering your attention may be the greatest competitive advantage of the modern age. Because once discipline becomes your foundation, mastery becomes possible. Chapter 12, Mastering Your Mind. There has never been a time in human history when your attention was more valuable or more under attack. Every day, thousands of voices compete for a single thing: your focus. Notifications interrupt your thoughts. Advertisements compete for your emotions. Endless scrolling promises entertainment without satisfaction. News competes for your fear. Algorithms compete for your curiosity. Entire industries are built around one simple goal: keep you distracted, because whoever controls your attention eventually influences your decisions. And whoever influences your decisions influences your life. Imagine standing in the middle of a crowded marketplace. Hundreds of people are shouting at once. One promises success. Another promises happiness. Someone else promises instant pleasure. Others compete for your outrage. Your attention is pulled in every direction until, eventually, you forget why you entered the marketplace in the first place. For many people, that marketplace has become their mind. Every day they wake up with intentions. Every night they wonder where their time went. Not because they are lazy, because their attention has been scattered into thousands of tiny pieces. Focus is no longer simply a skill. It is a superpower. Think about sunlight spread across the sky. It warms the earth, but concentrate that same light through a magnifying glass, and it becomes powerful enough to ignite fire. Your mind works exactly the same way. Scattered attention creates ordinary results. Focused attention creates extraordinary ones. The people you admire are not necessarily more intelligent than everyone else. Very often, they simply protect their attention better. They understand something most people overlook. Every yes is also a no. When you say yes to distraction, you say no to mastery. When you say yes to endless scrolling, you say no to deep thinking. When you say yes to constant interruption, you say no to meaningful progress. Every moment of attention is an investment. The only question is, what future am I investing in? Now, let's explore something quietly shaping millions of lives. Dopamine. Many people think dopamine is the chemical of happiness. It isn't. It is more accurately described as a chemical involved in motivation, learning, and anticipating rewards. It encourages you to seek what your brain believes is valuable. This system helped our ancestors survive, finding food, building relationships, exploring new environments, accomplishing meaningful goals. But today's world has discovered something. Your brain responds not only to meaningful rewards, but also to instant ones. Every notification, every new video, every social media like, every endless scroll. Each offers tiny bursts of novelty, tiny rewards, tiny moments of anticipation. None seem harmful by themselves. The problem appears when instant rewards begin replacing meaningful ones. Imagine eating candy every hour of every day. At first, it tastes wonderful. Soon, your appreciation for healthy food begins fading. Not because healthy food changed, because your expectations did. The mind behaves similarly. When it becomes accustomed to constant stimulation, ordinary life begins feeling unusually quiet. Reading a book feels difficult. Deep work feels exhausting. Conversations feel slower. Patience weakens. Attention fragments. You don't lose your ability to focus overnight. You trade it away, one distraction at a time. This isn't about eliminating pleasure. It's about reclaiming choice. The question isn't whether technology is good or bad. The question is, who is in control? If you choose when to engage, you remain free. If every notification chooses for you, something else is directing your life. Imagine holding the reins of a powerful horse. When guided wisely, the horse carries you across mountains. Left completely uncontrolled, it runs wherever impulse leads. Your attention deserves the same guidance. Now consider one of the greatest myths of productivity. People often believe they must learn to manage time, but time cannot be managed. Everyone receives the same 24 hours. What can be managed is attention. Two people may sit at the same desk for 3 hours. One accomplishes meaningful work. The other checks messages every few minutes, switches between tasks, and finishes almost nothing. The difference isn't time, it's focus. Your greatest achievements will almost always come from your deepest periods of uninterrupted attention. This is where creativity appears. This is where difficult problems become clear. This is where mastery is built. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while dozens of holes leak from the bottom. No matter how much you pour, very little remains. Constant distraction creates the same effect. Energy leaks away. Ideas disappear. Momentum dissolves. Protect your attention the way an architect protects a foundation. Everything else depends on it. Now, let's explore mental clarity. Have you ever looked into a perfectly still lake? When the water is calm, it reflects everything with remarkable accuracy. Mountains, clouds, trees, the sky itself. But throw stones into water, or stir it continuously, and the reflection disappears. Your mind is no different. A constantly distracted mind struggles to see reality clearly. It reacts instead of responds. It worries instead of observes. It confuses noise with importance. Mental clarity doesn't come from adding more information. It often comes from removing unnecessary noise. Think about the last time you were alone without your phone. No music, no television, no notifications, no conversation, just silence. For many people, that silence feels uncomfortable. Why? Because silence forces us to meet ourselves. Yet nearly every great insight arrives in moments of quiet, not while rushing, not while scrolling, not while reacting, but while observing. Some of the world's greatest thinkers understood this. They walked, reflected, wrote, sat in stillness, not because silence guaranteed answers, because silence allowed them to hear questions they had been too distracted to notice. The modern world encourages constant consumption. Read more, watch more, listen more, scroll more, but wisdom often grows through digestion, not consumption. Reading 10 books without reflection changes very little. Reading one book and deeply applying its lessons can transform a life. Your mind needs space. Just as muscles grow during recovery, the mind grows during reflection. This is why solitude is not loneliness. It is renewal. The remarkable thing about focus is that it strengthens like a muscle. At first, sitting with one task feels difficult. Your mind wanders. Distractions call. Restlessness appears. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're training. Every time you gently return your attention, you strengthen it. Every time you resist unnecessary distraction, you reclaim another piece of your life. Every time you choose depth over speed, your mind becomes clearer. Soon, what once felt impossible becomes natural. You begin noticing details others overlook. You think more clearly. You decide more wisely. You create more intentionally. Because your attention is no longer owned by everything around you. It is guided by what matters most. Imagine an archer preparing to release an arrow. The world around them may be noisy. Wind may blow. Voices may shout. But in the decisive moment, everything disappears except the target. That is focus. Now imagine living your life that way. Not ignoring the world, but refusing to let it constantly pull you away from what matters. That is mastery. Remember this. The quality of your life is determined not only by what you do, but by what consistently receives your attention. Protect your mind. Guard your focus. Choose your inputs carefully. Create moments of silence. Allow yourself to think deeply, because in an age where distraction has become normal, attention becomes extraordinary, and extraordinary attention creates extraordinary lives. As this part of your journey comes to a close, pause for a moment. Look back at the person you were when this audiobook began. The beliefs have begun to change. The chains have begun to fall. The habits are taking root. The mind is becoming clearer. The old identity is fading, but this is only the foundation. In the chapters ahead, you'll discover how to transform pain into power, build unshakable confidence, and create standards so high that your future no longer resembles your past. The greatest transformation is still waiting, and you are finally ready for it. Part 4, Becoming Unstoppable, Chapter 13. Turn pain into power. Every person carries pain. Some wear it openly. Others hide it behind a smile. Some speak about it. Others bury it so deeply that they almost convince themselves it no longer exists. But pain has one remarkable characteristic. It never truly disappears simply because you ignore it. It waits, quietly, patiently, influencing your decisions from the shadows until you choose what to do with it. The question is not whether you will experience pain. You already have. The question is, what will your pain become? Will it become a prison, or will it become fuel? Imagine two people standing beside the ashes of the same fire. Both lost something important. Both experienced disappointment. Both watch plans collapse. The first person spends years staring at the ashes. They replay every mistake, every unfair moment, every conversation they wish had ended differently. Slowly, the fire that once burned outside begins burning within, not as passion, as bitterness. The second person also mourns. They also grieve. They also struggle. But after the smoke clears, they kneel beside the ashes and discover something unexpected. Beneath the destruction, the soil has become richer. New life is possible. The fire did not only destroy, it prepared the ground. That is the hidden truth about suffering. It can either consume your future or cultivate it. The choice is rarely made in one dramatic moment. It is made through thousands of small decisions about the meaning you assign to your pain. Every difficult experience asks a silent question. Will this define you or develop you? Most people never ask that question. They only ask, why did this happen to me? But there is another question that changes everything. What can this experience build inside me that comfort never could? Think back to every challenge that truly changed your life. Was it the easy days? The comfortable seasons? The moments when everything unfolded exactly as planned? Probably not. Growth rarely introduces itself through convenience. It arrives disguised as difficulty. The breakup that forced you to discover your own strength. The failure that taught you humility. The rejection that redirected your life. The disappointment that revealed what truly mattered. At the time, each experience felt like an ending. Only later did you recognize it as a beginning. This is why suffering possesses extraordinary potential. Not because suffering itself is good. Pain is painful. Loss is real. Heartbreak hurts. Pretending otherwise serves no one. But pain also reveals parts of you that comfort never can. Imagine a lump of coal buried beneath the earth. For years, unimaginable pressure surrounds it. Heat, weight, darkness. From the outside, the process appears destructive, yet under the right conditions. The very pressure that seemed unbearable creates something astonishing. A diamond. Life often follows the same pattern. Pressure alone does not guarantee growth. But when met with courage, pressure can reveal strength you never knew existed. Now let's talk about emotional fuel. Every emotion carries energy. Anger, fear, disappointment, grief, hope, love. None of these emotions are inherently good or bad. What matters is where they lead you. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. Left uncontrolled, it floods fields and destroys homes. But when guided through channels, the same river generates electricity, nourishes crops, and sustains entire communities. Emotion works exactly the same way. Uncontrolled emotion overwhelms. Directed emotion empowers. Think about anger. Many people fear it. Yet anger often reveals something deeply important. It points toward what you value, what you believe should be different, what matters enough to awaken action. The problem is not anger. The problem is allowing anger to become destruction instead of direction. The same is true of sadness. Sadness reminds us that something meaningful existed. Fear reminds us that something matters. Disappointment reminds us that we dare to hope. Every emotion carries information. Wisdom lies in transforming information into action. Perhaps you've heard someone say, "I don't want to feel this anymore." It's a natural desire. But imagine trying to remove every difficult emotion from your life. You wouldn't eliminate pain. You would eliminate growth. Because courage cannot exist without fear. Patience cannot exist without frustration. Forgiveness cannot exist without hurt. Resilience cannot exist without adversity. The qualities we admire most are born in moments we would never voluntarily choose. This is why emotional mastery is not about escaping discomfort. It is about directing it. Now imagine standing before a forge. A blacksmith places cold steel into roaring flames. The metal glows red. Then comes the hammer. Again, and again, and again. To someone unfamiliar with the process, it appears destructive, but the blacksmith sees something different. Potential. The hammer is not punishing the steel. It is shaping it. Life's greatest challenges often feel like those blows. You ask, why is this happening? When perhaps a better question is, what is this preparing me for? Purpose has an extraordinary ability to transform pain. Imagine two people carrying identical stones. One carries it because they were forced to. The other carries it because they are building a home for the people they love. The weight is the same. The meaning is entirely different. Purpose changes how suffering is experienced. When you know why you're enduring difficulty, you discover strength that surprises even you. Purpose is not found by avoiding hardship. Often, it is discovered because of it. Many of history's most compassionate people became compassionate because they understood suffering. Many great leaders developed courage after experiencing fear. Many inspiring teachers first lived through seasons of confusion. Their pain became preparation, not punishment. Now pause for a moment. Think about the most difficult chapter of your own life. Perhaps you're still living through it. Perhaps it's already behind you. Instead of asking what it took from you, ask what it gave you. Did it teach patience, humility, compassion, strength, discernment? Did it reveal who truly stood beside you? Did it expose beliefs that no longer served you? Did it awaken a version of yourself that comforted, kept asleep? Your scars tell a story, not merely of what wounded you, but of what healed. Scars are proof that pain is not always the end of the story. Sometimes, it is evidence that you survived what once seemed impossible. Remember this. Your greatest strength may one day grow from the place where you once felt weakest. The chapter that almost broke you may become the chapter that teaches someone else how to survive. The pain that once made you question your future may eventually become the reason someone else believes in theirs. That is purpose, not pretending the struggle never happened, but refusing to let it happen without meaning. As this chapter comes to an end, understand one simple truth. You cannot always choose the storms that enter your life, but you can choose what those storms leave behind. Bitterness or wisdom, fear or courage, resentment or compassion, defeat or determination. The choice belongs to you. And every time you choose growth over bitterness, every time you choose purpose over despair, every time you choose to rise instead of remain where you fell, you transform pain into power. You become living proof that adversity does not have the final word. The strongest people are not those who never suffered. They are those who refuse to let suffering decide who they would become. In the next chapter, you'll discover how lasting confidence is truly built. Not through praise or success, but through the quiet habit of keeping promises to yourself until self-belief becomes unshakable. Because once pain becomes fuel, nothing can stop the person who has found a reason to keep moving forward. Chapter 14, the confidence nobody can take away. If someone asked you what confidence looks like, what would you picture? Perhaps someone speaking boldly on a stage, a successful entrepreneur, an athlete standing victorious, a leader who never seems to hesitate. From the outside, confidence often appears loud, obvious, effortless, but real confidence is rarely any of those things. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't seek approval. Because true confidence is not built on what other people think. It is built on what you know about yourself. Most people spend their lives chasing confidence in all the wrong places. They hope compliments will create it. They believe money will create it. Status, recognition, followers, achievements, success. Yet countless people possess all of those things and still doubt themselves every morning. Why? Because external validation is borrowed confidence, and borrowed confidence can always be taken away. Lose the applause, and it disappears. Lose the title, and it disappears. Lose the money, and it disappears. Real confidence must come from somewhere deeper, somewhere no circumstance can reach. Imagine building a house on the sand. It looks beautiful while the weather is calm, but the first storm reveals the truth. Now imagine another house built into solid rock. The wind still blows, rain still falls, but the foundation remains unmoved. Confidence works the same way. If it's built on opinions, it shakes. If it's built on achievement alone, it wavers. If it's built on identity, it endures. So where does lasting confidence come from? It begins with something surprisingly simple: keeping promises to yourself. Think back to every promise you've made. I'll wake up earlier. I'll finish what I started. I'll stop making excuses. I'll take better care of myself. This time will be different. Every promise matters, not because of the task itself, because every promise is a conversation between your present self and your future self. When you repeatedly break those promises, something invisible happens. Trust begins to disappear. Not trust from other people, trust in yourself. Imagine hiring someone who has broken every commitment they've ever made. Would you confidently give them greater responsibility? Probably not. Yet every broken promise teaches your subconscious exactly the same lesson. I can't rely on myself. Now imagine the opposite. You say you'll wake up at 6. You do. You promise to exercise. You keep your word. You commit to reading every day. You follow through. Each promise kept becomes another piece of evidence. I'm someone who does what I say. That sentence changes everything. Confidence isn't built by repeating. Believe in yourself. It's built by becoming someone worth believing. Every promise honored strengthens that belief. Brick by brick, day by day. Now consider competence. There is an interesting difference between pretending to be confident and becoming capable. Imagine someone stepping onto a stage to perform the piano. One has practiced every day for 10 years. The other watched a few videos online and hoped enthusiasm would be enough. Who walks onto the stage with greater confidence? The answer has nothing to do with personality. It has everything to do with preparation. Competence creates confidence. Preparation removes fear. The more capable you become, the less you need to convince yourself you're capable. This is why confidence is earned, not purchased, not inherited. Earned. The remarkable thing about competence is that it grows slowly. One skill learned, one conversation improved, one difficult challenge overcome, one problem solved. Eventually, the impossible becomes familiar. Think about driving a car. The first lesson felt overwhelming. Every mirror, every pedal, every turn demanded your complete attention. Now you perform many of those actions almost effortlessly. What changed? Not the road. You did. Competence transformed uncertainty into confidence. The same principle applies to every area of life. Want confidence speaking? Practice speaking. Want confidence leading? Lead. Want confidence writing? Write. Want confidence building a business? Build one. Confidence follows evidence, not imagination. This is why action always comes before certainty. Many people wait until they feel confident before taking action. Those who succeed understand the opposite. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. Now, let's talk about courage. Courage is perhaps the most misunderstood quality in human life. People often imagine courageous individuals as fearless, but courage has never required the absence of fear. If there is no fear, there is no courage. Imagine a firefighter entering a burning building. Do you think they feel nothing? Of course they do. The difference is not the absence of fear. It is a decision that something else matters more. Every courageous act begins with fear. Speaking honestly despite trembling. Applying for the opportunity despite uncertainty. Starting the business despite doubt. Leaving the unhealthy relationship despite heartbreak. Trying again after failure. Fear accompanies each step. Courage chooses to walk anyway. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff overlooking an enormous valley. A bridge stretches across. The bridge is strong. Safe, but because you cannot see every plank beneath your feet, your mind imagines danger. The only way to discover the bridge can hold you is to take the first step. Confidence grows exactly this way, not before action. After it, every courageous decision whispers to your subconscious, "See, we survived." Every repeated act of courage slowly rewrites your identity. You stop introducing yourself as someone who avoids fear. You become someone who moves through it. Notice something important. Courage compounds. The first difficult conversation makes the second easier. The first speech prepares you for the next. The first rejection makes future rejection less frightening. The first victory over fear becomes proof that another victory is possible. Soon, the mountain that once intimidated you becomes the trail you comfortably walk. Many people believe confidence is something extraordinary people are born with. The truth is much simpler. Confidence is accumulated evidence. Every promise kept, every skill developed, every fear faced, every setback survived, every lesson applied. Those experiences become the foundation no opinion can shake, because they belong to you. No one can take away what you genuinely earned. The applause may disappear. The title may change. The money may come and go, but your character remains. Imagine an old oak tree standing alone in an open field. Season after season, storms arrive. Lightning strikes nearby. Strong winds bend its branches. Heavy snow covers its limbs. Yet year after year, the tree remains standing. Why? Its roots reach deeper than the storm. Your confidence should grow the same way, not from easy seasons, from enduring difficult ones, not from avoiding challenges, from overcoming them. One day you'll notice something remarkable. You no longer seek permission before pursuing your dreams. You no longer require constant reassurance. You no longer depend on applause to believe in yourself, because you've built something far more valuable than temporary confidence. You've built self-trust, and self-trust is a foundation of unshakable confidence. Remember this. The strongest confidence is not the confidence that says, nothing will ever go wrong. It is the confidence that says, whatever happens, I know I can handle it. That kind of confidence cannot be purchased. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be given. It must be built, promise by promise, skill by skill, courageous step by courageous step, until one day you no longer wonder whether you're capable. You simply begin, because the person you once hoped to become has quietly become the person you are. And in the next chapter, you'll discover a source of strength that many people fear, but the world's greatest thinkers have embraced: the extraordinary power of solitude, silence, and learning to become comfortable in your own company. Because the strongest people are never truly alone. They have learned how to become friends with themselves. Chapter 15, The Power of Solitude. There is a place most people spend their lives trying to escape. It has no walls, no locked doors, no alarms, yet millions avoid it every single day. Silence. The moment life becomes quiet, they reach for something. A phone, a television, music, a conversation. Anything to fill the space, because silence can feel uncomfortable. It removes distractions. It strips away noise. And for the first time, it leaves us alone with ourselves. But what if the very place you've been avoiding is where the strongest version of you is waiting? Imagine standing beside a lake before sunrise. The wind is still. The water is perfectly calm. Every mountain, every cloud, every star reflects with astonishing clarity. Now imagine throwing stones into the lake every few seconds. Ripples spread endlessly. The reflection disappears. Nothing outside the lake has changed, only the surface. Your mind works the same way. When it is constantly disturbed by noise, urgency, and distraction, it loses the ability to reflect clearly. Most people don't lack intelligence. They lack stillness. They move from one notification to another, one conversation to another, one responsibility to another, without ever stopping long enough to ask, where am I going? Imagine driving across an entire country without once checking a map. You might stay busy. You might cover thousands of miles. But busy is not the same as purposeful. Motion is not the same as direction. Solitude gives you direction. It creates the space where you stop reacting to life and begin designing it. History quietly reveals a fascinating pattern. Many of the world's greatest thinkers regularly sought solitude, not because they disliked people, because they value clarity. Ideas that changed civilizations were often born during long walks, quiet mornings, empty cabins, mountain trails, simple moments when the world finally stopped talking. The modern world encourages constant input. Read another article, watch another video, listen to another opinion. But wisdom is not created by endless consumption. Wisdom grows through reflection. Imagine eating meal after meal without ever allowing your body to digest. Eventually, nourishment becomes impossible. The mind is no different. You cannot continuously consume information without creating space to understand it. Solitude is where knowledge becomes wisdom, experience becomes insight, Pain becomes understanding. Purpose becomes visible. This is why thinking deeply has become a rare skill. Most people think they are thinking. In reality, they are reacting. A notification appears. They react. Someone disagrees. They react. Bad news arrives. They react. Social media offers comparison. They react. Reaction requires very little awareness. Deep thinking requires intention. Imagine climbing above thick clouds in an airplane. From the ground, the storm seems endless, but above the clouds, the sky is calm. Perspective changes everything. Solitude gives your mind altitude. It lifts you above immediate emotion, so you can see the bigger picture. Questions begin to emerge. What kind of person am I becoming? What truly matters? What deserves my energy? What should I leave behind? These questions rarely appear while rushing through life. They arrive when life becomes quiet enough for you to hear them. Now, let's talk about energy. Most people protect their money more carefully than their energy. They hesitate before spending $10. Yet they freely spend hours worrying about opinions that don't matter, arguing over things they cannot control, giving emotional space to people who constantly drain them. Imagine your energy as a beautiful garden. Every conversation plants something. Every environment waters something. Every relationship either nourishes the soil or quietly poisons it. The question isn't whether people influence you. They do. The question is whether you choose what influences you. Some people leave you feeling stronger. Others leave you exhausted. Some conversations expand your thinking. Others fill your mind with fear. Some environments awaken your best qualities. Others encourage your worst habits. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's responsible. A lighthouse doesn't apologize for protecting its light from the storm. It understands that if the light goes out, it can guide no one. You are no different. You cannot continually pour into others if you never replenish yourself. Solitude is where your energy returns, not because you escape the world, because you reconnect with yourself. Imagine a bow being pulled backward before releasing an arrow. To someone unfamiliar with archery, it appears as though the arrow is moving away from its destination, but the backward movement creates the force needed to move forward. Solitude often feels like stepping away from life. In reality, it prepares you to return with greater strength. The strongest leaders know this. The wisest teachers know this. The most creative artists know this. Periods of withdrawal often precede periods of extraordinary contribution, not because they are avoiding the world, because they are preparing to serve it more effectively. Now consider vision. Every remarkable achievement begins long before anyone else can see it. Before a building stands, someone imagines it. Before a symphony is played, someone hears it internally. Before a company changes the world, someone believes in an invisible possibility. Vision is seeing tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. But vision cannot survive constant distraction. Imagine trying to see stars at noon. The light is simply too overwhelming. Now wait until night. Suddenly, the sky reveals what was there all along. Your future often works the same way. The vision already exists. It is simply hidden beneath the brightness of endless distraction. Solitude dims the noise. Clarity appears. Perhaps this is why many people never discover what they truly want. Not because they lack purpose, because they have never been quiet long enough to hear it. Purpose rarely shouts. It whispers. It appears in moments of reflection, during long walks, morning silence, journaling, prayer, meditation, watching the sunrise, sitting beneath an old tree, looking across an open horizon. The world calls these moments unproductive, yet they often become the birthplace of life's most meaningful decisions. Imagine an eagle soaring thousands of feet above the earth. From that height, it sees rivers, mountains, forests, and valleys as one connected landscape. The animals below see only the ground beneath their feet. Solitude gives you the eagle's perspective. It reminds you that today's obstacle is only one small part of a much larger journey. You stop obsessing over every temporary setback. You begin living from vision rather than reaction. One day you'll notice something remarkable. Silence no longer feels lonely. It feels like home. You stop fearing your own thoughts. You become curious about them. You stop running from yourself. You begin listening. And the person you've been searching for in books, in podcasts, in other people's opinions, begins speaking from within. Remember this. Solitude is not isolation. Isolation disconnects you from life. Solitude reconnects you with it. One drains, the other restores. One creates loneliness, the other creates clarity. The strongest people are rarely those surrounded by constant noise. They are those who have learned to become completely comfortable in their own company, because anyone can hear the world's voice. Very few have learned to hear their own. And in the next chapter, you'll discover what separates people who experience temporary change from those who transform forever. The standards they refuse to compromise, the boundaries they refuse to cross, and the unwavering commitment that makes greatness not an event, but a way of life. Because vision may show you where to go, but standards determine whether you arrive. Chapter 16. Creating your new standards. Every life is governed by invisible rules. Some are written down. Most are not. Without realizing it, you wake up every morning and live according to a private set of standards. They determine how you speak, how you think, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you avoid, who you become. The remarkable thing is that these standards often operate silently. You don't consciously announce them. You simply live them. Imagine two identical houses built side by side. Both have beautiful walls, strong doors, large windows. From the outside, they appear almost identical, but one was built according to strict construction standards. The other was built carelessly. When a storm arrives, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Your standards are the construction code of your life. They determine what remains standing when life becomes difficult. Most people believe their future is determined by their dreams, but dreams are only possibilities. Standards determine reality. A dream says, I want to become healthy. A standard says, I don't repeatedly treat my body in ways that destroy it. A dream says, I want meaningful relationships. A standard says, I don't tolerate dishonesty from others or from myself. A dream inspires. Standards decide. Think back to the moments in your life when you accepted something you knew wasn't right. Perhaps you remained in a relationship long after respect had disappeared. Perhaps you settled for work that slowly drained your spirit. Perhaps you repeatedly broke promises to yourself. Every time it happened, something inside you whispered, this isn't who we're supposed to be. That voice wasn't judging you. It was reminding you of a higher standard. The life you experience is rarely above the standards you consistently accept. If you tolerate mediocrity, mediocrity becomes familiar. If you tolerate dishonesty, trust begins disappearing. If you tolerate excuses, progress quietly stops. People often say, you get what you deserve. Life is more subtle than that. Very often, you get what you're willing to tolerate. That truth can feel uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly empowering, because the moment you raise what you're willing to accept, your life begins rising with it. Imagine a thermostat inside your home. If it is set to 65 degrees, every heating system eventually returns the room to that temperature. Raise the setting, the environment changes. Your standards are the thermostat of your life. Raise them, and your decisions begin changing automatically. Now, let's talk about non-negotiables. Imagine constructing a bridge across a deep canyon. Certain bolts are optional. The color of the paint is optional. The design of the railing may vary, but some elements are absolutely essential. Without them, the bridge collapses. Your life needs those same essential supports. Non-negotiables are the decisions you make once, so you don't have to remake them every day. They eliminate unnecessary negotiation. They protect your future from your temporary emotions. Imagine waking up every morning asking yourself whether you should brush your teeth, whether you should stop at a red light, whether honesty is worth practicing today. Life will become exhausting. The strongest people reduce decision fatigue by establishing principles they no longer debate. Perhaps one of your non-negotiables becomes this: I keep promises to myself. Notice how many future decisions become easier. Another might be, I speak truthfully, even when it's uncomfortable. Or, I move my body every day. Or, I protect my mornings from unnecessary distraction. The specific standard matters less than your willingness to honor it. A life without non-negotiables becomes a life negotiated by emotion. Every difficult day becomes an opportunity to compromise. Every inconvenience becomes an excuse. Every challenge becomes optional. But when your principles are clear, your decisions become simpler. Imagine a lighthouse standing on a rocky coastline. Storms arrive. Massive waves crash against it. Powerful winds shake everything nearby, yet the lighthouse remains. It does not negotiate with the storm. It does not change direction because conditions become difficult. Its purpose is fixed. Your standard should become like that lighthouse. Steady, reliable, unaffected by temporary emotions. Now let's consider personal rules. Many people resist rules because they associate them with restriction. But personal rules are different. They are not created to limit your life. They are created to protect it. Think about a river. Without banks, water spreads in every direction. It becomes shallow, weak, unable to sustain movement. With strong banks, the same water gains power. Direction creates strength. Your personal rules are the banks of your character. They channel your energy toward what matters. Perhaps your rules become simple. I finish what I begin. I don't speak negatively about myself. I leave people better than I found them. I never allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. I choose growth over comfort. These rules quietly shape your identity, not because someone else demands them, because they reflect the person you're becoming. Remember this. Every time you violate your own standards, you weaken trust in yourself. Every time you honor them, you strengthen it. Now imagine climbing a mountain. Each step becomes more demanding. The air grows thinner. The climb becomes steeper. Turning back begins to look appealing. This is where standards matter most. Motivation has already disappeared. Comfort is calling your name. No one is watching. The only thing keeping you moving is the standard you've established. This is simply who I am. Not because the climb is easy, because quitting no longer matches your identity. That is the quiet power of standards. They remove the need for constant willpower. Your decisions become expressions of character, not debates. Now let's talk about expectations. The expectations you place upon yourself quietly become the ceiling of your life. Imagine a teacher handing two students the exact same assignment. To one student they say, "I know you're capable of excellent work." To the other they say, "Just do whatever you can." Those expectations influence effort, belief, performance. The same thing happens inside your own mind. Every morning you communicate expectations to yourself. Sometimes with words, more often with actions. If you repeatedly settle, you teach yourself that excellence isn't necessary. If you repeatedly honor your commitments, you teach yourself that integrity is normal. Your expectations shape your behavior long before results appear. This is why raising your standards must begin internally, not with comparison, not with perfection, but with respect. Respect for your potential, respect for your future, respect for the person you're becoming. Imagine meeting your future self 10 years from today. Healthy, wise, disciplined, peaceful, confident. Would that version of you ask for less from today's decisions or more? The answer is obvious. Every extraordinary life is built by ordinary people who decided they would no longer live beneath their own potential, not because they became perfect, because they became intentional. Remember this. The standards you create today become the life you experience tomorrow. Raise them, and your future rises with them. Protect them, and they will protect you. Honor them, and they will quietly shape your character until excellence no longer feels exceptional. It simply becomes normal. One day, people will ask how your life changed so dramatically. They'll search for a secret, a shortcut, a single breakthrough. Only you will know the truth. Your life changed the day you stopped asking, "What do I feel like doing?" and started asking, "What does the person I'm becoming refuse to compromise?" That single question changes everything, because your future is never created by occasional greatness. It is created by the standards you refuse to lower. And in the final chapter of this journey, you will discover the greatest transformation of all, not reaching a destination, but becoming the kind of person who continues growing for the rest of their life. Because this audiobook was never about changing who you are for a moment. It was about becoming someone who never stops becoming. It does not negotiate with the storm. It does not change direction because conditions become difficult. Its purpose is fixed. Your standard should become like that lighthouse. Steady, reliable, unaffected by temporary emotions. Now let's consider personal rules. Many people resist rules because they associate them with restriction. But personal rules are different. They are not created to limit your life. They are created to protect it. Think about a river. Without banks, water spreads in every direction. It becomes shallow, weak, unable to sustain movement. With strong banks, the same water gains power. Direction creates strength. Your personal rules are the banks of your character. They channel your energy toward what matters. Perhaps your rules become simple. I finish what I begin. I don't speak negatively about myself. I leave people better than I found them. I never allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. I choose growth over comfort. These rules quietly shape your identity, not because someone else demands them, because they reflect the person you're becoming. Remember this. Every time you violate your own standards, you weaken trust in yourself. Every time you honor them, you strengthen it. Now imagine climbing a mountain. Each step becomes more demanding. The air grows thinner. The climb becomes steeper. Turning back begins to look appealing. This is where standards matter most. Motivation has already disappeared. Comfort is calling your name. No one is watching. The only thing keeping you moving is the standard you established. This is simply who I am. Not because the climb is easy, because quitting no longer matches your identity. That is the quiet power of standards. They remove the need for constant willpower. Your decisions become expressions of character, not debates. Now let's talk about expectations. The expectations you place upon yourself quietly become the ceiling of your life. Imagine a teacher handing two students the exact same assignment. To one student they say, "I know you're capable of excellent work." To the other they say, "Just do whatever you can." Those expectations influence effort, belief, performance. The same thing happens inside your own mind. Every morning you communicate expectations to yourself, sometimes with words, more often with actions. If you repeatedly settle, you teach yourself that excellence isn't necessary. If you repeatedly honor your commitments, you teach yourself that integrity is normal. Your expectations shape your behavior long before results appear. This is why raising your standards must begin internally, not with comparison, not with perfection, but with respect. Respect for your potential, respect for your future, respect for the person you're becoming. Imagine meeting your future self 10 years from today. Healthy, wise, disciplined, peaceful, confident. Would that version of you ask for less from today's decisions or more? The answer is obvious. Every extraordinary life is built by ordinary people who decided they would no longer live beneath their own potential, not because they became perfect, because they became intentional. Remember this. The standards you create today become the life you experience tomorrow. Raise them, and your future rises with them. Protect them, and they will protect you. Honor them, and they will quietly shape your character until excellence no longer feels exceptional. It simply becomes normal. One day, people will ask how your life changed so dramatically. They'll search for a secret, a shortcut, a single breakthrough. Only you will know the truth. Your life changed the day you stopped asking, "What do I feel like doing?" and started asking, "What does the person I'm becoming refuse to compromise?" That single question changes everything, because your future is never created by occasional greatness. It is created by the standards you refuse to lower. And in the final chapter of this journey, you will discover the greatest transformation of all, not reaching a destination, but becoming the kind of person who continues growing for the rest of their life. Because this audiobook was never about changing who you are for a moment. It was about becoming someone who never stops becoming. Chapter 17, Designing Your Future Self. Every building begins twice. First, in imagination. Then, in reality, before the first brick is laid, someone has already seen the finished structure. They know where every wall will stand, where every window will face, where every room will connect. The blueprint exists long before the building. Your future works the same way. Before you become the person you were meant to be, you must first become someone who can see them. Most people allow the past to design their future. They look backward to decide what is possible. I've never been disciplined. I've always struggled with confidence. People like me don't succeed. Without realizing it, yesterday becomes the architect of tomorrow. But what if you reverse the process? What if, instead of allowing your history to determine your identity, you allowed your vision to shape it? Imagine standing before two mirrors. The first reflects the person you have always been. Every fear, every habit, every limitation. The second mirror reflects someone different. Someone calmer, healthier, disciplined, wise, confident, purpose-driven. At first, that reflection feels unfamiliar, almost impossible. But here's the truth. Every extraordinary life begins as an unfamiliar possibility. No one is born seeing themselves exactly as they will one day become. The image comes first. The identity follows. This is the quiet power of visualization. Many people misunderstand it. They believe visualization means simply wishing for success, closing your eyes, imagining luxury, hoping reality somehow changes. That isn't transformation. True visualization is much deeper. It is mentally rehearsing the person you are becoming. Imagine an Olympic athlete preparing for competition. Long before the event begins, they have already performed it countless times in their mind. They imagine every movement, every challenge, every response, not because imagination replaces practice, because it strengthens preparation. The mind becomes familiar with success before the body experiences it. Your future deserves the same preparation. Close your eyes for a moment, not to imagine what you own. Imagine who you are. How do you walk? How do you speak? How do you respond when life becomes difficult? How do you treat people? How do you begin your mornings? How do you handle criticism? How do you make decisions? Notice something remarkable. Your future self isn't defined by possessions. They're defined by character, by habits, by standards, by peace, by purpose. This is the identity you are building. Now imagine meeting that future version of yourself. Not years from now. Today, you sit together on a quiet mountainside overlooking the sunrise. They smile, not because they've avoided hardship, because they've learned from it. You ask, what changed everything? They don't mention luck. They don't mention perfect timing. They don't mention extraordinary talent. Instead, they quietly answer, I became the person my goals required. That single sentence contains extraordinary wisdom. The life you want isn't waiting for a different version of the world. It is waiting for a different version of you. Now, let's explore identity statements. Every person carries invisible declarations. Some are spoken aloud. Most remain hidden. I'm always late. I'm terrible with money. I'm not creative. I never finish what I start. These statements quietly instruct your subconscious. Eventually, your behavior obeys them. Imagine programming a navigation system. If you repeatedly enter the wrong destination, the system faithfully guides you there. Your identity statements work exactly the same way. The question is not whether you're programming your mind. You already are. The question is, what destination are your words creating? Notice the difference between these two statements. I need to become disciplined. I am becoming someone who honors my commitments. The first focuses on lack. The second focuses on identity. Or consider these. I hope I'll become confident. I choose courage even when confidence hasn't arrived yet. One waits. The other acts. Effective identity statements are not fantasies. They are commitments. They describe the direction you're repeatedly choosing, not perfection, progress. Instead of saying, I'm fearless, say, I face fear without allowing it to make my decisions. Instead of saying, I'm successful, say, I consistently become someone capable of creating meaningful success. Notice how these statements invite action rather than illusion. Identity grows through repetition. The words you consistently speak eventually become the life you consistently live. Now let's think beyond today. Most people make decisions from the perspective of their current emotions. They're tired, so they postpone. They're discouraged, so they quit. They're comfortable, so they settle. Future thinking changes the question entirely. Imagine every decision passing through one filter. Will my future self thank me for this? Suddenly everything changes. Staying up another hour scrolling through distractions? Will your future self thank you? Avoiding the difficult conversation? Will your future self thank you? Breaking another promise to yourself? Will your future self thank you? Now imagine waking up early to exercise, learning a new skill, saving instead of spending, choosing kindness instead of anger, remaining disciplined when no one is watching. Will your future self thank you? Without hesitation. Yes, future thinking transforms temporary sacrifice into meaningful investment. Imagine planting an oak tree. The person planting it knows they may never enjoy its full shade, yet they plant it anyway. Why? Because they understand something profound. The greatest things in life often grow slowly. Every disciplined decision is planting another tree. Every healthy habit is planting another tree. Every courageous action is planting another tree. One day, you'll stand beneath a forest created by choices no one applauded when you first made them. This is how extraordinary lives are built. Now imagine your future self writing you a letter. It arrives without fanfare. No dramatic music. No grand announcement. Just quiet wisdom. The letter says, "Thank you. Thank you for continuing when quitting seemed easier. Thank you for protecting your mornings. Thank you for forgiving your past. Thank you for choosing discipline over comfort. Thank you for believing in me before I existed. Everything I'm able to experience today began with decisions you made when no one was watching." How would that letter change today's choices? Perhaps more than any motivational speech ever could. Because motivation fades, identity remains. One day you'll wake up and realize something extraordinary. The person you once visualized, the person you once wrote about, the person who once felt impossible is now brushing their teeth, making breakfast, keeping promises, living ordinary days with extraordinary character. The future self you imagined quietly became your present reality, not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through thousands of decisions that honored the blueprint long before the building appeared. Remember this: your imagination is not an escape from reality. Used wisely, it is the workshop where reality is first designed. Protect the vision. Speak to the identity you're creating. Think beyond today's emotions. Live in a way that makes your future proud, because the person you become tomorrow is being designed by the thoughts, choices, and standards you practice today. And in the next chapter, you'll discover the final key to lasting transformation: how to ensure this new identity never fades, never slips away, and continues growing long after this audiobook comes to an end. Because becoming your future self is only the beginning. Living as them is where the real journey starts. Chapter 18, How Winners Think. Before every victory, there's a way of thinking. Long before anyone sees the success, the recognition, the influence, or the achievement, a decision has already been made inside the mind. That decision is not, "I will win." It is something much deeper. I will become the kind of person who deserves to win. That is the difference. Most people chase victories. Winners build a mindset that naturally produces them. Imagine two gardeners planting identical seeds. The first walks outside every morning asking, "Why hasn't anything grown yet?" The second asks, "What does the soil need today?" Months later, one has only frustration. The other has a flourishing garden. The difference wasn't the seed. It was the focus. Average thinking obsesses over outcomes. Winning thinking obsesses over preparation. This is why extraordinary people often appear calm, while others panic. They understand something many never learn. You cannot always control results, but you can always control your preparation. Imagine an archer preparing to shoot an arrow. The wind may change. The target may move. Unexpected distractions may appear. The archer cannot command any of those things, but they can control their breathing, their posture, their focus, their practice, their discipline. They master what belongs to them. The outcome becomes a consequence of preparation. Life follows the same principle. The strongest minds stop wasting energy on what they cannot control. Instead, they ask, what is within my influence today? That question changes everything, because every answer leads to action. Now, let's explore one of the defining characteristics of winners: long-term thinking. Imagine placing two bowls on a table. One contains a handful of candy. The other contains seeds. Most people reach for the candy. It offers immediate satisfaction. The seeds appear ordinary, almost disappointing. Yet given enough time, those seeds become orchards. This is the difference between short-term pleasure and long-term vision. The modern world rewards immediacy, instant messages, instant entertainment, instant delivery, instant gratification. The mind slowly becomes conditioned to expect immediate rewards. When meaningful progress requires months or years, many people assume something is wrong. But nature has never hurried. A mighty oak tree does not apologize for growing slowly. A mountain is not concerned because rivers take centuries to shape it. The greatest things in life mature over time: character, wisdom, mastery, trust, meaningful relationships, lasting success. They cannot be rushed. Imagine standing at the base of an enormous mountain. Someone asks, would you rather take a helicopter to the summit or climb yourself? The helicopter gets you there faster, but it cannot teach endurance. It cannot build resilience. It cannot strengthen your character. The climb changes you. Sometimes a journey is the reward, not because reaching the summit doesn't matter, because becoming the person capable of reaching it matters more. Long-term thinkers understand this. They stop asking, how quickly can I succeed? Instead, they ask, who will I become through this process? That question transforms frustration into patience, setbacks into lessons, delays into preparation. Now, let's talk about responsibility. Few words have been misunderstood more. Some hear responsibility and imagine blame, pressure, burden. But responsibility is one of the greatest gifts you can ever accept. Imagine someone hands you the steering wheel of a car. At first, it feels intimidating. Suddenly, every decision matters. Every turn matters. Every choice influences the destination. Responsibility works the same way. The moment you accept responsibility for your life, you reclaim the steering wheel. Notice what responsibility is not. It does not mean you caused every hardship. It does not mean life has always been fair. It does not deny pain or injustice. Some storms arrive without invitation. Some wounds were never your fault. But healing, growth, and your next decision belong to you. There's enormous freedom in that realization. Imagine standing in front of two doors. The first is labeled, someone else must change before my life improves. The second is labeled, my next decision begins changing my life today. Only one of those doors leads to freedom. The first gives your future away. The second returns it to your hands. Winners choose the second door. Again, Chapter 19, the compound effect of small choices. If you could change your life with one decision, you probably would have done it already. Most people spend years waiting for the breakthrough, the perfect opportunity, the life-changing moment, the one big decision that finally transforms everything. But life rarely changes that way. Transformation is almost never explosive. It is cumulative. It is built quietly, one choice at a time. Imagine standing before two paths. At first glance, they appear identical. The difference between them is almost impossible to notice. One path rises by only a single degree. The other remains perfectly flat. If you walk for 100 feet, the difference is almost nothing. Walk for 1 mile. Still, it seems insignificant. But keep walking for 100 miles. Now the gap is enormous. One path leads to the mountaintop. The other leaves you wandering through the valley. Life follows the same principle. Tiny decisions rarely feel important in the moment, but repeated consistently, they become your destiny. Most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in a single week. and dramatically underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years because they misunderstand the mathematics of consistency. Imagine dropping a single drop of water onto a stone. Nothing happens. Drop another. Still nothing. 100 drops. 1,000. 10,000. Eventually, the stone begins to change. Not because one drop possessed extraordinary power, because thousands of ordinary drops created extraordinary results. Your choices work exactly the same way. One healthy meal won't transform your body. One workout won't build remarkable strength. One chapter won't make you wise. One act of kindness won't change every relationship, but repeat those actions long enough, and they quietly reshape your entire life. This is the compound effect. Small actions, repeated consistently, creating outcomes that appear extraordinary. Imagine two friends beginning adulthood together. They have similar intelligence, similar opportunities, similar dreams. One chooses to read 10 pages every day. The other says, "I'll start when life slows down." One saves a small percentage of every paycheck. The other spends a little more than they planned. One walks 30 minutes each morning. The other sleeps a little longer. None of these decisions seem dramatic. No one applauds them. No headlines are written. Yet, 10 years later, their lives barely resemble one another. The gap wasn't created in one dramatic moment. It was built one ordinary day at a time. This is why tiny decisions matter so much. They vote for your future. Imagine carrying 2 buckets. One is a tiny hole. Only a few drops leak each day. The other is filled with a tiny stream. Neither change is obvious at first, but after enough time, one bucket becomes empty, the other overflows. Your daily habits either leak potential or quietly fill your future. There's almost no neutral choice. Every decision is moving you, even if only slightly. Now, let's talk about momentum. Imagine trying to push an enormous boulder. The first push accomplishes almost nothing. The second feels equally difficult. So does the third, the 10th, the 20th. Then something begins to happen. The boulder starts moving, slowly at first, then steadily. Eventually, the same force that once barely moved it now keeps it rolling. Momentum has taken over. Your life behaves the same way. The hardest part of transformation is not becoming consistent. It is becoming consistent long enough for momentum to appear. Most people quit too early, not because the process wasn't working, because the results were still invisible. Imagine an airplane preparing for takeoff. For several moments, it races down the runway, burning enormous amounts of energy. Yet from the passenger's perspective, it hardly seems to move. Then suddenly, the wheels leave the ground. Flight becomes possible. Many dreams are abandoned on the runway. People mistake preparation for failure. They confuse invisible progress with no progress. But beneath the surface, everything is changing. Your character, your habits, your discipline, your identity. The lift is coming. Don't stop accelerating. Now consider the incredible power of daily victories. People often wait for major accomplishments before allowing themselves to feel proud. They think, "I'll celebrate when I lose 50 pounds. I'll be happy when I finish the business. I'll believe in myself after I achieve success." But waiting for massive victories is one of the quickest ways to lose motivation, because life is mostly made of ordinary days. Imagine climbing a mountain. If your happiness depends only on reaching the summit, you'll spend almost the entire journey dissatisfied. But if you learn to appreciate every step, every new view, every lesson, the climb itself becomes meaningful. Daily victories are those steps. Waking up when you said you would, that's a victory. Choosing patience instead of anger, that's a victory. Reading when distraction calls your name, that's a victory. Keeping one promise to yourself, that's a victory. Each small success sends your subconscious a powerful message. We are moving forward. Never underestimate that message. Confidence grows from accumulated victories, not dramatic ones, consistent ones. Imagine collecting tiny pieces of gold every day. One piece seems insignificant, but after years, you possess extraordinary wealth. Daily victories create emotional wealth, self-respect, self-trust. resilience, hope. The people you admire most rarely became exceptional through one heroic act. They became exceptional because ordinary excellence became their lifestyle. There's another truth many overlook. Small negative choices compound just as powerfully. One unnecessary argument, 1 hour wasted, one excuse, one unhealthy habit. None seem dangerous alone, but repeated over months and years, they quietly become a completely different life. This is why awareness matters. Every small choice is asking a silent question. What direction are we moving? Not, will this change my life today? But, if repeated for years, who would this make me? That question transforms ordinary decisions into meaningful ones. Imagine standing beside a sculptor. Every strike of the chisel removes only a tiny fragment of stone. Someone passing by might wonder, why bother? Nothing has changed. But the sculptor smiles. They already see the masterpiece hidden inside. Each strike matters, even the smallest one. Your daily choices are those strikes. Each disciplined action removes another piece of the old identity. Each courageous decision reveals more of the person hidden beneath. The masterpiece is not created in one afternoon. It is revealed through patient consistency. One decision, one habit, one victory. Again and again and again, until one day, people call your transformation remarkable. Only you know the truth. Nothing remarkable happened in a single moment. What happened was something even more powerful. You refused to underestimate the importance of ordinary days. You stopped waiting for the perfect opportunity. You stopped searching for shortcuts. You trusted the process. You honored the little decisions. And the little decisions quietly built an extraordinary life. Remember this. Your future is not determined by what you occasionally do. It is shaped by what you repeatedly choose. Greatness is not found in rare moments of brilliance. It is found in ordinary moments of consistency. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to cast a vote for the person you are becoming. Every choice matters. Every habit counts. Every promise strengthens you. Every small victory carries tomorrow inside it. One day, you'll look around the life you created and wonder when everything changed. The answer will surprise you. It didn't change all at once. It changed one small decision at a time. And in the final chapter of this journey, you will discover the ultimate truth about transformation. Why becoming the person you were meant to be is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a lifelong commitment to growth, purpose, and leaving behind a legacy that outlives you. Chapter 20, Becoming Unrecognizable. There will come a day, quietly, without fanfare, without applause, without anyone announcing it, when you look back at the person you used to be and barely recognize them. Not because your face has changed, not because your name has changed, but because your mind, your habits, your standards, your relationships, and your way of living have become so different that the old version of you feels like a distant memory. This is the transformation you have been building since the very first chapter. Not a temporary burst of motivation, not a 30-day challenge, not another attempt to fix yourself, a complete evolution. Imagine returning to the neighborhood where you grew up after many years away. The streets are familiar. The buildings still stand. The trees have grown taller. Yet something feels different. The place hasn't changed nearly as much as you have. The same happens when your identity evolves. The world often looks the same, but you no longer experience it the same way. The criticism that once shattered your confidence becomes useful feedback. The obstacle that once stopped your progress becomes another lesson. The fear that once controlled your decisions becomes something you acknowledge without obeying. The habits that once required tremendous effort become your normal way of living. That is what real transformation looks like. Not becoming a different human being, becoming the fullest expression of who you were always capable of becoming. Many people imagine transformation as a dramatic event, a single breakthrough, a life-changing seminar, a powerful speech, a magical morning when everything suddenly becomes easy. But transformation is far quieter than that. It happens while no one is watching. It happens on ordinary Tuesdays, on rainy mornings, on difficult afternoons, on evenings when no one knows you kept your promise, instead of making another excuse. It happens in the invisible moments. Imagine watching a caterpillar disappear into its cocoon. From the outside, nothing exciting seems to happen. Days pass, weeks pass, silence, stillness, patience. Then one day, a butterfly emerges. People admire the wings. Almost no one appreciates the hidden process that made them possible. Your life has its own cocoon. Every chapter of this audiobook has been preparing you for it. You questioned your beliefs, released your old identity, built new habits, strengthened your discipline, protected your focus, raised your standards, accepted responsibility, designed your future self, honored small daily victories. None of those changes happen for applause. They happen because they were changing you, piece by piece. Now, let's talk about lifestyle evolution. Most people attempt to change isolated behaviors. They exercise, then stop, read more, then stop, wake up early, then stop, because behavior alone rarely survives. Lifestyle does. Imagine someone who says, "I'm trying to eat healthy." Compare that with someone who says, "This is how I live." Notice the difference. One is making temporary adjustments. The other has adopted an identity. Lifestyle evolution happens when discipline no longer feels like discipline. It simply becomes normal. You no longer debate whether to keep promises. You simply keep them. You no longer argue with yourself about protecting your time. You naturally do it. You no longer wonder whether growth is worth the effort. Growth becomes part of who you are. The extraordinary thing about identity is this. Eventually, you stop chasing change because you have become the change. Imagine a river that has carved its way through a mountain for centuries. No one asks the river each morning, "Will you continue flowing today?" Flowing is its nature. Your highest habit should become just as natural, not forced, not dramatic, simply consistent. Now comes one of the most important lessons in this entire journey: protecting your growth. Imagine planting a beautiful garden. You prepare the soil, water faithfully, remove weeds, watch flowers bloom. Would you then leave the gate wide open for anyone or anything to enter and destroy it? Of course not. Growth must be protected, not because it is weak, because it is valuable. The stronger you become, the more carefully you must choose what enters your life. Some people will celebrate your transformation. Others may not understand it. A few may even resist it, not because they dislike you, because your growth reminds them of the changes they have avoided. Do not let someone else's comfort become the ceiling of your potential. You do not need permission to outgrow old versions of yourself, or old environments, or relationships built upon the person you no longer are. Imagine an eagle learning to fly. It eventually reaches heights impossible for birds that never leave the ground. Should it apologize because it can now see farther? Should it fold its wings to make others comfortable? No, its purpose is to fly. Your purpose is to grow. Growth sometimes creates distance, not because you become arrogant, because your direction changes. Protect your mornings, protect your attention, protect your peace, protect your standards, protect your dreams. Most importantly, protect your relationship with yourself. There will still be difficult days. You will still make mistakes. You will still experience moments of doubt. Transformation does not eliminate humanity. It strengthens your ability to navigate it. Imagine an enormous oak tree during autumn. Leaves fall, branches bend, storms arrive, yet the roots continue growing deeper beneath the surface. Some seasons will look less impressive than others. That does not mean growth has stopped. Trust the roots. There is another danger waiting after success: complacency, the quiet belief that you've already arrived. Growth ends the moment curiosity disappears. The strongest people remain students forever. They continue learning, listening, improving, questioning, not because they are dissatisfied with themselves, because they understand there is always another level of wisdom, another layer of character, another opportunity to serve. Never confuse confidence with completion. You are never finished becoming. That is the beauty of this journey. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to become slightly wiser than yesterday, slightly kinder, slightly stronger, slightly more disciplined. Imagine climbing one mountain only to discover another beyond it. Some people become discouraged. Others smile because they have fallen in love with climbing. That is the ultimate transformation. You stop living only for destinations. You begin loving the process of becoming. Now pause. Take one final look behind you. Remember the person who began listening to this audiobook, the one carrying old beliefs, old fears, old excuses, old limitations. Thank them. Without that version of you, you would never have begun this journey. But understand this, they have completed their purpose. They no longer need to lead your life. Ahead of you stands someone different, someone calmer, more disciplined, more intentional, more courageous, someone who no longer waits for permission, someone who no longer asks life for guarantees before taking action, someone who understands that greatness is not an event, it is a way of living. Remember the title of this audiobook. Erase who you were. Become who you were meant to be. Now you understand its true meaning. You were never trying to. Conclusion: become the person you were waiting for. Take a deep breath. Not because this journey is ending, because another one is about to begin. When you press play on this audiobook, you were looking for something. Perhaps you wanted more discipline, more confidence, more clarity, more purpose. Or maybe you couldn't even explain what was missing. You only knew one thing. The person you had become was no longer the person you wanted to remain. Now, after everything we've explored together, I'd like to ask you one final question. Who have you become while listening? Not what have you learned, not what inspired you, not which chapter was your favorite. Who are you now that you weren't before? Because information alone never changes a life. Identity does. Think back to the beginning. You met a version of yourself who was carrying invisible chains, old beliefs, old fears, old stories, old labels. You believed some of them for so long that they felt like facts. You thought they were your personality, your destiny, your limits. But chapter by chapter, you began questioning them. You discovered that many of those beliefs were never truly yours. Some were inherited, some were borrowed, some were born from pain. Others were created by fear disguised as certainty. And once you questioned them, they began losing their power. Then you emptied the cup. You let go of identities that no longer deserved to define you. You forgave, not because the past didn't matter, but because your future mattered more. You stopped introducing yourself through yesterday's mistakes. You began making room for someone new. Then came discipline, habits, standards, responsibility, focus. You discovered that extraordinary lives are never built by extraordinary moments alone. They are built through ordinary decisions repeated with extraordinary consistency. You learn that confidence is earned, that courage walks beside fear, that purpose often grows from pain, that solitude is not loneliness, it is clarity. You discover that your future self is not waiting somewhere in the distance. They are quietly being created by every decision you make today. Now here we are, at the end of this audiobook, or perhaps at the beginning of your real life. There is something important you need to understand. No audiobook, no seminar, no mentor, no book, no conversation can transform your life by itself. They can inspire you, challenge you, guide you, but eventually the headphones come off, the pages close, the video ends, and you are left alone with one question. What will I do now? Because transformation has never been measured by what you know. It has always been measured by what you repeatedly do. Many people spend their lives waiting for confidence, waiting for motivation, waiting for more money, waiting for more time, waiting until life feels easier, waiting until the fear disappears, waiting for the perfect moment. But let me tell you something that may become the most important sentence you ever hear. There is no perfect moment. There never has been. There never will be. Imagine a farmer standing beside an empty field. Every day they say, "I'll plant tomorrow when the conditions are perfect." Tomorrow arrives. The weather changes. Another excuse appears. Weeks pass. Months pass. Eventually, harvest season comes. The neighboring fields overflow with abundance. Theirs remains empty, not because they lack potential, because they waited for perfection. Life rewards movement, not perfection. You will never know everything before you begin. You will never eliminate every fear. You will never remove every obstacle. The path becomes visible because you walk it, not before. So if you've been waiting, stop. Today is enough. This hour is enough. This decision is enough. Because your future has never asked for perfection. It has only asked for commitment. Imagine standing before two doors. One is labeled someday, the other today. Most people spend their entire lives staring at the first door, dreaming, planning, waiting. Very few gather the courage to open the second. Everything you've ever wanted lies behind the door marked today. Not because today is extraordinary, because tomorrow is built from it. Now, let's talk about identity one last time. Every decision you make casts a vote, not merely for what you'll accomplish, but for who you'll become. Every promise kept, another vote. Every difficult conversation, another vote. Every disciplined morning, another vote. Every act of courage, another vote. Every choice to forgive, another vote. Eventually, the votes become overwhelming. The identity changes. People often ask, when will I finally become the person I want to be? The answer is beautifully simple. With every decision that reflects that person, you already are. There is another truth I hope you never forget. The old version of you is gone. Not because your past disappeared. Your memories remain. Your lessons remain. Your scars remain. But the person who believed they were powerless, the person who waited for permission, the person who defined themselves by fear, the person who accepted less than they deserved, that version of you no longer has to lead your life. Honor them. Thank them. They survived enough to bring you here. But they were never meant to become your final identity. Imagine a snake shedding its old skin. It does not carry the old skin into the future. It leaves it behind because growth requires release. The same is true for you. Leave behind the excuses. Leave behind the labels. Leave behind the stories that no longer serve you. You are not abandoning yourself. You are finally meeting yourself. Perhaps years from now, you'll stumble across this audiobook again. You'll smile, not because every lesson was easy, but because you'll remember the day you decided your life would no longer be controlled by yesterday. And maybe, just maybe, you'll barely recognize the person who first pressed play. That is the goal, not to become someone else, to become more completely yourself, the strongest version, the wisest version, the most courageous version, the version that had been waiting patiently beneath years of doubt and distraction. Before we part, I'd like to leave you with one final image. Imagine waking tomorrow morning. The sun rises exactly as it always has. The world looks almost identical. The streets are the same. The people are the same. Your responsibilities are still waiting. Nothing outside appears dramatically different, yet something has changed forever. The person opening their eyes. That person now understands that identity is a choice. That discipline is freedom. That courage grows through action. That pain can become purpose. That small decisions create extraordinary lives. That the future is not something you find. It is something you build. One sunrise, one habit, one promise, one courageous step at a time. So, don't wait for another beginning. You are living inside it. Don't search for another version of yourself. Become them, starting now, because the person you've been waiting for has never been someone else. It has always been you. Thank you for allowing me to walk beside you on this journey. Now the road belongs to you. Walk it with courage. Walk it with discipline. Walk it with purpose. Walk it with hope. And whenever life tempts you to become the person you used to be, remember everything you've learned. Remember every promise you've made. Remember every step you've already taken. Then smile. Take one more step forward. And never look back. Your future is no longer approaching. It has already begun.